After school, at a family restaurant at night, with that girl from my class. Volume 1. By Hidari Ryu. Translated by Yuki Kitsuneko. Audiobook by Masquerade at Masquerade Audiobooks. Prologue. The usual seat, the usual girl. 1 clubhouse sandwich. And the drink bar, please. Without even glancing at the menu, I placed my order. As soon as the server left my table, I headed straight to the drink corner, my steps practiced and confident. Grabbing a transparent glass adorned with the store's logo, I scooped in a bit of ice before placing the glass in the designated spot on the machine. Holding down the button, I filled it to the brim with their signature melon soda, a green liquid that, if you really thought about it, didn't taste much like melon. I slid a straw in and retraced my steps back to my usual seat with the same familiar rhythm. This was Flowers, a family restaurant. The nighttime crowd filled the place, families with kids, office workers stopping by after their shifts, and more. I lazily surveyed the bustling interior, my mind still hazy from finishing my part-time job, while sipping the melon soda through the straw. The plastic straw turned green as I took a sip, the fizzy sweetness spreading through my mouth. With a quiet sigh, I exhaled. Only 8 p.m., The current time was 8:03 p.m. For a second-year high school student, it wasn't exactly the most appropriate hour to be out. Yet, for me, it was still only 8 p.m. As a second-year student at Hashimoto Academy, I, Narumi Kuta, once again found myself wasting the hours of my youth with a glass of melon soda. While waiting for my order, a flash of gold flickered in my peripheral vision. Passing through my line of sight was a long wave of golden hair, shimmering like an aurora. Her nails, lightly polished, were painted white, matching her name. From this distance, I couldn't tell, but she was probably wearing light makeup as well. With a well-proportioned figure boasting a full chest and a slender waist, she carried herself with poise that rivaled any idol. She wore the uniform of Hashimoto Academy, the same school I attended. Judging by the bag at her side, it seemed she hadn't even gone home yet. On her head was a pair of cat-ear headphones. The white and silver coloring complemented her golden locks, creating the image of a pure white bridge arching over a golden river. Although she looked like she was listening to music, her gaze was locked on a smartphone lying horizontally. She was probably watching a video. In this day and age, wireless earbuds with noise-canceling features are commonplace, yet she chose these conspicuous over-ear headphones. It was almost as if they symbolized her desire to shut out the outside world. Kazemiya's here again today. Her name was Kazemiya Kohaku. She was in the same year as me, a second year in Class D at Hashimoto Academy, my classmate. But our connection didn't go beyond that. We weren't childhood friends, neighbors, seatmates, or even rivals bound by some mysterious past life. The only thing we had in common was being regulars at this family restaurant, Flowers. And that's all there was to it. We didn't share conversations about the juiciness of their signature hamburger steak, nor did we vow to conquer the entire menu together. We didn't even exchange greetings or make any form of acknowledgement. We always sat in our usual spots, spending time in silence, never interacting. We were classmates tied by the flimsiest of threads, mutual regulars of a family restaurant. The only thing that mildly piqued my curiosity was why she always watched videos here at the restaurant. She could just do that at home. It seemed like a waste of time, but it wasn't my place to pry. Thank you for waiting. Here's your clubhouse sandwich. My order was delivered to the table. Despite the busy hour, the clubhouse sandwich had been carefully prepared. Crispy toast sandwiched bacon, lettuce, tomato, and roasted chicken, one of the restaurant's staple menu items. Due to its portability, it was even available for takeout. Thanks for the food. After uttering my gratitude, I bit into it. The sweet and tangy sauce spread across my tongue as the toast and fillings satisfied my post-work hunger. Quietly, I finished my meal while occasionally glancing at my smartphone. Thank you for the meal. I clasped my hands together in thanks, feeling satisfied. The clubhouse sandwich filled my stomach with just the right amount of substance and contentment. By now, it was just shy of 9 p.m. Most high school boys would be home by this hour, but unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately, I didn't fit into that category. Not that I was hanging out with the wrong crowd or anything. I simply loitered here at the family restaurant. That was all. From the restaurant's perspective, lingering customers like me weren't ideal. I felt a little guilty about it, but I decided to make use of the drink bar and stick around a bit longer. As a high school student with limited funds, the opportunities to stay out this late weren't exactly abundant. After pulling out a textbook and notebook from my bag to finish some homework, I scrolled through my favorite websites and social media timelines on my phone. Eventually, I killed some time playing my favorite mobile game. Since this game required holding the phone horizontally, it was pretty obvious to anyone watching that I was playing. Then came 10 p.m. My personal curfew. I packed my belongings, double-checked for anything I might have left behind, grabbed my receipt, and stood up. And at the same time, I bumped into Kazemiya, also holding her receipt as she headed to the register. Our eyes met, snap, just for a moment. Her gaze was an astonishing blue, as if it could pull me in. The vivid blue of a clear sky. The mysterious blue of a deep sea. The white and silver headphones, which had likely finished their duty of playing videos, now rested around her neck. It was just a second or two, no longer than that. Nothing significant happened. I gave her a slight nod of acknowledgement and took a step back. Kazemiya returned the gesture with a small bow, then headed to the register. After completing her payment, she left the restaurant. I followed shortly after, paying my bill and stepping outside into the night. Above me, the night sky spread vast and deep, as if declaring that the sun had long since set. Mocking the natural darkness, the city was illuminated by the artificial glow of human creation. Amidst this manufactured brilliance, I found myself watching her figure as she walked confidently down the street. Her long golden hair swayed with each step, catching the light. But her gait, there was a subtle melancholy in it that burned itself into my mind. Time to go home. I turned away from Kazemiya, moving in the opposite direction. Today, tomorrow, and from now on. We were nothing more than fellow regulars, our words unspoken, our paths destined never to cross. At least, that's what I thought at the time. Chapter 1. The Family Restaurant Alliance. First period on Monday for Class 2D at Hoshimoto Academy High School is mathematics. The beginning of the week. Monday. It's likely the time when both students and working adults are at their lowest performance levels, yet we're forced to deal with endless rows of numbers. Complaining about the devilish curriculum that makes mathematics the first period on Monday has become a staple topic for our class. Having somehow survived the monster that was the midterm exam earlier in the semester, most of us were now relishing the relative peace and would honestly prefer to loosen up and take it easy, even if just a little. Morning, Kuta. Amidst the groaning classmates dreading the first period math class, a cheerful voice greeted me. It belonged to a boy with a bright, charming smile. He had an approachable demeanor, was slightly shorter than the average high school boy, and his frame placed him just below the middle in height order. Even his somewhat small stature somehow added to his charm. Standing there with a grin, waiting for my response, he reminded me of a dog wagging its tail. Yo. Morning, Natsuki. Inumaki Natsuki. My childhood friend since kindergarten, and incidentally, my classmate as well. We'd never once ended up in different classes. Even now, as second-year high school students, that streak continued. Natsuki himself often joked, at this rate, we'll complete the full set, kindergarten, elementary, middle, and high school. And while we're at it, I should add that he's often said, if I had to have a childhood friend, I wish it had been a cute girl instead, but honestly, I feel the same way. Hey, Kuta. Want to hang out somewhere after school today? Sorry. I've got work again today. Again? You've been like this ever since we started our second year. I've taken on more shifts. 'Cause you don't want to go home? I fell silent, hit by his directness. But my silence spoke louder than any words could. You're still not getting along with your new family. Seeing no point in staying quiet anymore, I reluctantly spoke up. Honestly, it still feels uncomfortable being at home. I haven't gotten used to my new dad or my stepsister yet. No, it's more like I can't see them as family. And that just makes me hate myself. So, you're filling your schedule with extra shifts and killing time at the family restaurant after work. That's, honestly, kind of sad. Your stepsister isn't a bad person, is she? She's even trying to be friendly, right? She's the top student who got in with top marks. Man, imagine being stuck with such a perfect little sister. The spring before we advanced to our second year, my mom got remarried. Her new husband was a salaryman working for a toy manufacturer. He's not a bad guy. In fact, I think he's a good person. If Mom chose him, I have no complaints. She raised me on her own, and I want her to find her happiness. I sincerely wish her the best. As part of the arrangement, Mom and I moved into his house. We went from living in a small apartment to a quaint 2-story house. Overall, our standard of living improved. My new dad is a good guy and treats me well. It's a happy life. I'm probably blessed. But there were 2 problems. The first was that he had a daughter. She's 1 year younger than me and just started at Hoshimoto Academy High School this spring. A top student, great at sports, and even gave the freshman representative speech at the entrance ceremony. Living under the same roof as a girl my age has left me at a loss for how to act. The second problem is much simpler. I just can't feel at ease in that house. I haven't adjusted to my new family. I haven't adjusted to that house. So I avoid going home, taking on extra shifts and spending my post-work hours lingering at a family restaurant. Look, this might be a bit nosy, but are you okay with that? Working more and coming home late right after starting a new life with your mom and stepdad. I feel like they'd notice and start worrying. I know. I feel bad for Mom and my new dad. But, even knowing that, I just can't feel comfortable there. There's nothing I can do about it. I know the problem, and I know I have to fix it. But for now, I just can't. I see. If it's uncomfortable, it's uncomfortable. Some things just can't be helped. That casual, carefree attitude, without forcing me to try harder or make an effort, is one of the things I like about Natsuki. Anyway, you're welcome to kill time at my place too. Let's hang out once in a while. Yeah. I'll take you up on that sometime. I think that's what Natsuki wanted to say all along. That I'll always have a place to escape to. It's comforting. Especially since Natsuki knows about my previous dad. He's the one person I can truly relax around. Hey, Kazemiya-san. I wanted to ask you something. A girl's voice reached my ears, pulling me from my thoughts. What is it? Even without knowing that Kazemiya wasn't yet comfortable with her new classmates, her demeanor came across as curt. Her naturally cool, aloof aura amplified the impression of distance. Sitting at her desk, her smartphone lay horizontally on the table, and her cat-ear headphones, now detached of their ears, rested around her neck. Likely, she'd been watching a video until the girl approached her. Though she seemed reluctant, Kazemiya turned her attention to the conversation. Your sister is Kyu-an, the singer, right? The girl's voice was tinged with excitement. Kyu-an, known among high school students as a wildly popular singer-songwriter. Her real name? Kazemiya Kyu-an. Kazemiya Kohaku's older sister by 2 years. This fact was widely known throughout the school, making Kohaku a minor celebrity in her own right. Though, to be honest, her fame wasn't just because of her sister. She is, but what about it? I'm a huge fan of Kyu-an, so, please, could you introduce me to your sister? No. Kazemiya's curt and immediate rejection cut through the air like a blade. She must have received requests like this countless times. Her refusal was efficient and to the point. Couldn't you make an exception? Or at least get me an autograph? I've been a fan of Kyu-an since her debut, and, didn't you hear me? Her voice turned noticeably colder. I said no. Ah. The girl who had asked the question was left speechless, seemingly overwhelmed by Kazemiya's forceful presence. Unable to respond, she turned her back and retreated to her seat. Kazemiya, now unbothered, put her headphones back on and returned to her video. Whether or not she heard the murmurs of, "What was that? And she's so rude," from other classmates was unclear. Meanwhile, those who had been quietly observing the exchange returned to their conversations as if nothing had happened. Wow, That was like watching someone step on a landmine. Landmine? Yeah. Kazemiya-san really doesn't like it when people bring up her sister. I heard last year, a ton of people came up to her with similar requests, and it was a huge hassle for her. I didn't know that. Well, we were in different classes then. I only heard it from someone else. Besides, Kazemiya-san has other rumors surrounding her, too. Oh, that stuff. That, I'd heard. In fact, the other rumors about Kazemiya Kohaku were far more prevalent in my mind. Stuff like her hanging out late at night, or being involved with some sketchy people. Who knows if any of it's true? I don't really like those kinds of baseless rumors. Honestly, hearing that stuff is exhausting. I've even considered getting a pair of headphones like hers. The way Natsuki phrased it suggested the rumors were likely unsubstantiated. Natsuki has a wide circle of friends, so he hears more gossip than most. But instead of taking everything at face value, he cross-checks stories from multiple people and even investigates on his own when needed. That's just the kind of guy he is. Well, whatever the rumor, it doesn't matter to me. Yeah, that's just like you, Kuta. You're not the type to poke your nose into other people's business. Isn't that true for everyone? No way. Plenty of people step all over others' personal lives and families out of sheer curiosity or selfish interest. Like that girl from earlier. That was a rather harsh remark about the girl who had approached Kazemiya. I wonder if Natsuki felt strongly about the exchange just now. Meanwhile, Kazemiya remained as composed as ever, silently engrossed in her video. Her demeanor was no different from when she was at the family restaurant at night. It was as if she had already forgotten the interaction with the girl earlier. Or at least, that's how it appeared to me. Oh, there's the bell. The school bell echoed through the building, cutting off my thoughts. The chatter in the classroom stopped as my classmates, including Natsuki, returned to their seats. Kazemiya also removed her headphones and began preparing for class. Doesn't matter what Kazemiya was thinking, or what her relationship with her family might be, it had nothing to do with me. I wasn't interested. I don't meddle in other people's families. I can barely manage my own. Section. After school. As always, after finishing my part-time job, I headed straight to my regular family restaurant, Flowers. We're sorry, but please wait a moment. The restaurant was unusually crowded today. While it's usually busy, it's rare to see it this packed. Peeking inside, it seemed multiple large groups had coincidentally arrived at the same time. Encountering a situation like this, whether it's good luck or bad luck, I couldn't say. For me, it didn't matter how long I had to wait since I was here just to kill time. I tapped the one adult button on the terminal by the entrance, and a receipt-like piece of paper printed out with the number 26 on it. Taking the ticket, I waited quietly for my turn. Number 26, please. Guided by a server, I walked through the bustling restaurant filled with lively groups. Usually, I'd be allowed to pick any available seat with a please sit wherever you like, but that wasn't possible today due to the crowd. My usual spot was taken by a group of unfamiliar women who appeared to be in the middle of a meeting with a tablet spread across the table. Right this way, please. Thank you. I was led past my usual spot to another table. The table looked freshly cleaned, with faint traces of a damp cloth left behind. It was otherwise unremarkable. I let myself be guided, sitting down on the moderately firm bench seat. It wasn't until after I sat down that I realized it. At the table next to mine, separated by just enough space for someone to slip by, sat a girl wearing headphones and watching videos on her phone, just as she had been this morning. It was Kazemiya Kohaku. I froze in surprise, accidentally staring at her. Snapping back to my senses, I quickly opened the menu to act natural. There was no reason to be so shocked. I was simply seated next to her, that's all. I didn't really need to look at the menu since I've been here often enough to practically have it memorized. But flipping through it felt less conspicuous than looking like some seasoned regular. Sometimes, even when I don't have a particular dish in mind, browsing through the photos can tempt me. That's exactly what happened this time. The glossy, golden armlet rice pictured in the menu caught my eye. I pressed the button to call a server. 1 golden omelette rice with special sauce, please. And the drink bar set. After placing my order, I poured myself a glass of cola and returned to my seat. Kazemiya, as always, kept her headphones on and continued watching videos on her phone. What kind of videos does she watch all the time? That idle thought crossed my mind as I sat down again. While killing time on my phone, my order arrived. Thanks for the food. Underneath the fluffy omelette was melted cheese, softened by the heat. The rich sweetness of the cheese and egg danced on my tongue. The special sauce drizzled on top was just the right balance, keeping the flavor from becoming monotonous all the way through. Thanks for the meal. I finished the omelette rice in no time. It was just too good to stop eating. As a high school boy, I wouldn't have minded a slightly larger portion, but that's just wishful thinking. Normally, I'd take a moment to relax before heading home. But for someone like me, who felt uncomfortable at home, this was where I wanted to linger. I thought about scrolling through my timeline and opened my social media app. Before I could begin, my phone's screen changed to an incoming call notification. The caller was my mom. I had a good guess as to why she was calling. Taking a deep breath, I exhaled slowly, calming myself. I made sure my voice wouldn't betray any of my feelings before answering the call. Hello, Mom? Kuta, where are you right now? I'm on my way home from work. It wasn't a lie. My part-time job was already over, and this restaurant was technically on my way home. Will you be back soon? It might take a bit longer. I was planning to eat dinner out before heading back. Strictly speaking, I'd already finished eating, but ordering dessert would make it true enough. If you're hungry, you didn't need to eat out. You could have just come home. I get really hungry after work. I wanted to eat something quickly. This isn't really a lie. Or at least it shouldn't be. The fact that I feel hungry after finishing work is undeniably true. I see. Well, take care on your way home, alright? Akihiro-san and Katomi-chan are waiting for you too. Got it. But really, there's no need for them to wait up for me. It'd be easier for them to just relax and not worry about me. Tsujikowa is the family name of my mom's new husband, Akihiro Tsujikowa. Akihiro is my new father, and Katomi Tsujikowa is my stepsister. Katomi is at an age where being known as having a stepbrother just a year older could potentially impact her school life. She's just started high school and is still navigating new relationships, which is a delicate time. For that reason, even though my legal family name is now Tsujikowa, I continue to use my old surname, Narumi. I'm grateful for this arrangement. I've only shared this with a trusted few, like Natsuki, who know how to keep things to themselves. Alright. I'll let them know. Just be careful, it's already dark out. Got it. I'm hanging up now. Declaring the end of the call myself, I hung up. Phew. A sigh of relief escaped my lips. It's not like I have a bad relationship with my mom. If anything, it's quite good. I even used to read her manuscripts and give her feedback. She's a writer, after all. That's how close we are as mother and son. And yet, a phone call that didn't even last 5 minutes left me feeling this drained. Guess I should order dessert. Really, I can't help but laugh at myself. The mental gymnastics I'm doing, convincing myself that it's not a lie, just not the full truth, is nothing but a silly excuse to order something else and extend my time here. For me, it's the cost of peace of mind. To an outsider, it probably looks like a waste of money. Settling on something cheap, I ordered a scoop of chocolate ice cream. But as soon as I ordered it, I regretted not going for a parfait instead. After all, a parfait would have taken longer to arrive. Are you not getting along with your family? What a beautiful voice, I thought. It took me a moment to realize that the voice was directed at me. When I turned to look, I saw the source. It was Kazemiya Kohaku, sitting at the table next to mine. Ha! I froze like a statue, caught off guard by the question. When I think of Kazemiya Kohaku, the first word that comes to mind is aloof. Cool, distant, yet strikingly beautiful. A solitary brilliance that keeps others at bay. That's the image I have of her. A girl who never initiates conversations with anyone. At least, I've never seen her do so. Then again, we've only been classmates since the start of our second year, so I barely know her as a classmate, let alone personally. Outside of school, the only place I've seen her is this family restaurant. From what I've observed, she never chats with friends, rarely uses her phone for calls, and only speaks when ordering from the staff. Are you asking me? Who else? Fair point. Kazemiya was seated in a corner of the restaurant, and I was the only one nearby. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I happened to finish my video just as you were talking. I couldn't help overhearing. Well, I was the one talking on the phone in public, so it's partly my fault. I had assumed her headphones would block out any sound. Apparently, she had finished watching her video at an inconvenient moment. As for my family, I guess things with my mom are fine. We have a good relationship, I'd say. With your mom, huh? A cold sweat ran down my back. Crap, that sounded like I'm saying I don't get along with anyone else. Strictly speaking, my relationship with my stepfather and stepsister isn't bad. I know they're trying to reach out to me. I'm just the one failing to respond. Still, I didn't expect Kazemiya to pick up on that so quickly. She's surprisingly perceptive. Sorry about that. It was weird of me to ask out of the blue. Maybe my guarded reaction showed on my face because she smiled apologetically. It's fine. Honestly, it's true that things are awkward with everyone except my mom. I see. A brief silence followed before she spoke again. I'm not getting along with my family either. What? Her bringing up her family, a topic I assumed was off limits, caught me completely off guard. My surprised reaction must have been obvious, as she gave me a knowing look. I asked you about your family earlier, right? It wouldn't be fair if I didn't share something about mine. You don't have to worry about that. But I do. I care about that kind of fairness, even if you don't. Funny, right? Someone who says they don't meddle in others' families, like me, doing exactly that. Oh, same here. The words slipped out reflexively. Really? I mean, I can barely handle my own family. Who has the energy to get involved in someone else's? Haha, even our reasons are the same. So, Kazemiya can laugh like this. The thought crossed my mind before I realized I'd been thinking it, and I surprised myself. But the expression on Kazemiya's face just now wasn't something I'd ever seen in the classroom. I couldn't help but be drawn to it. I see. So, you're the same, Narumi. Wait, you know my name? Of course I do. We're classmates, aren't we? That caught me off guard. To me, Kazemiya Kohaku was someone who always wore her headphones, seemingly indifferent to everything around her. I'd assumed she wouldn't even bother remembering her classmates' names. Not that I have much room to talk, considering there are still a few classmates whose names I'm unsure of. But that's something I'll keep to myself. Admitting that in front of Kazemiya would be way too embarrassing. Besides, if the guy sitting at the same spot in my regular family restaurant turns out to be a classmate, it's hard not to remember. Yeah, fair point. Even if Kazemiya weren't well known at school, I'd still remember her. Someone who always sat in the same seat at the same place. Once you find out they're your classmate, they're bound to leave an impression. So, the reason we both come here is the same? Probably. I'd say it's the same. Because it's uncomfortable at home, so we kill time here. We said it in perfect unison, as if we'd practiced it. I couldn't help but laugh. And apparently, neither could Kazemiya. Guess we get along. Yeah, we do. A chuckle escaped me. I never would have imagined there was another student out there, also uncomfortable at home, who chose to pass the time at this very family restaurant. Here you go, your chocolate ice cream. The server brought my dessert at just the right moment. There it is, my alibi dessert. Seems like a waste of money, though. Even I think so. It's not a waste. For us, it's the cost of buying peace of mind. A necessary expense. Man, we really do get along. Our conversation continued as I finished my ice cream. Maybe it was because I was talking more than eating, but the ice cream melted faster than I could finish it. I wasn't keeping track, but it felt like it took me longer to eat than usual. Well, I think I'll head out. Alright. Guess I'll head home too. We stood up together, taking our receipts to the register. This time, there was no awkward standoff about who would go first. Once outside, the sun had long since set, and the city's lights pushed back against the encroaching darkness. "Why don't you walk me home?" Her suggestion wasn't hard to understand. "It gives me an excuse to stay out longer." "You're welcome." It was probably this reasoning that made Kazemiya leave the restaurant at the same time as me. We walked shoulder to shoulder down a path that led in the opposite direction of my usual route home. Unfamiliar asphalt roads. Unfamiliar buildings. A path I wouldn't have taken even yesterday, yet here I was, walking it with Kazemiya Kohaku. It felt strange. Yeah, really strange. Just this afternoon, I'd thought of Kazemiya as someone utterly untouchable. A person from a different world than mine. Someone I wouldn't cross paths with today, tomorrow, or ever. And yet now, she felt so close. So familiar, I couldn't help but think of her as someone I knew well. It was probably because I felt at ease. I don't get along well with my family, to the point where I'd rather stay at a family restaurant until late at night than go home. A person trapped by the unshakable curse of family, something you can never truly escape. There's someone else like me, and that thought alone puts me at ease. So, Narumi, when you get home this late, what excuse do you give your family? Like I told them on the phone earlier, something like I stopped to eat after work or needed to rest because I was tired. Different excuses every time. But doesn't that get hard to keep up after a while? Yeah, I'm starting to feel like I'm hitting my limit. What about you? Any tips? I just stick to, it's my life, so I'll do what I want. Wow. Bold. I have to be, or I wouldn't be able to handle it. It's always been like this. Even if I'm just out during the day, they assume I'm up to no good or getting into trouble. They don't trust me. I mean, I get it, if something did happen, it'd reflect badly on my sister. But still. It's not that she's lost their trust because she goes out at night. It's probably the other way around. They don't trust her, which is why she ends up staying out late. If that's the case, then yeah, she has no choice but to push back however she can. That sounds tougher than my situation. Maybe. But the feeling of not wanting to be at home is the same, right? I'll agree with you there. So, are you coming back to the family restaurant tomorrow? Yeah. I've got work again. I see. Kazemiya seemed to be mulling something over, and the conversation paused for a moment. In that case, I have a suggestion. A suggestion? If we're going to be here anyway, wouldn't it be more fun to chat like today? I mean, we actually get along pretty well. And it'd make coming up with excuses easier. She had a point. We really did hit it off during today's conversation. And honestly, time did seem to pass faster than usual. Spending hours alone can be exhausting in its own way. If I had someone to talk to, it might be a more meaningful way to spend the time than just scrolling through social media or browsing websites. Plus, I feel like I can talk to you about things. Like venting. Venting? About what? Lots of things. School, personal stuff, family stuff. Hearing that, I couldn't help but laugh. Family stuff, huh? I like that. What's so funny? Sorry, I just never thought of that. The guilt I feel toward my family. The discomfort of being at home. Sometimes I talk about it with Natsuki, but even then, there's a limit to how much I can say. If there's anyone I could truly vent to, someone who understands the feeling of not wanting to be at home, it'd be Kazemiya. What if we just vent to each other, listen, and leave it at that? No prying further. Yeah, that sounds good. Fits our dynamic, too. Alright, then it's settled. Yeah, it's an alliance then. An alliance. That works. Should we give it a name while we're at it? Like the Satsuma CHSH Alliance or something? Note, the Satsuma CHSH Alliance was a powerful military alliance between the southwestern feudal domains of Satsuma and CHSH formed in 1866 to combine their efforts to restore imperial rule and overthrow the Tokugawa shogunate of Japan. It just popped into my head. Maybe I lived in the Bakumatsu era in my past life. The Bakumatsu era, huh? Kazemiya let out a small laugh. You're more amusing than I thought, Narumi. Well, putting the Bakumatsu era aside, if we were to name our alliance. How about the Family Restaurant Alliance? Simple and easy to understand. I like it. The Family Restaurant Alliance. Giving a label to our relationship like this made the whole situation feel a bit more natural. Also, I thought, this is my place. After leaving the restaurant, we stopped in front of a towering apartment building less than 5 minutes away. Thanks for walking me home. You're welcome. Wow, you live in a pretty nice place. It doesn't matter much if it's uncomfortable to live in. Fair enough. Exactly. A quick check of my phone revealed it was past 10 p.m. Heading home from here would definitely make me later than usual. It's late enough that I'll probably get some comments when I get home. What's your excuse? For me, I stayed late chatting with a friend at the family restaurant. Something like that. And for me, it'll be, I walked a girlfriend home, so I got back late. Oh, you should add, I was with a friend on the way back, so I was safe from any trouble. Good idea. I'll use that. Of course, being together doesn't guarantee absolute safety or immunity from trouble. But it's better than a high school girl walking alone late at night. Not that there's any need to explain that logic. Should we exchange contact info before parting? Good idea. Might come in handy. And if necessary, I can explain to your mom for you. Please don't. I'm kidding, obviously. I hadn't expected Kazemiya to crack jokes like that. While I was thinking about it, we finished exchanging contact information. You don't have an icon set for your profile, Narumi. I don't really care about that stuff. What about you? Kazemiya Kohaku's account was now added to my messaging app. The icon next to her name was a photo of a pure white cat. You like cats? Yeah, I love them. I'd like to have one, but my mom won't let me, so I settle for watching videos. So the videos you always watch at school and the family restaurant are cat videos? I only watch cat videos at home. My face softens too much. Her normally cool, indifferent expression softening for a cat video? I'd kind of like to see that. What I watch at school or the family restaurant are movies. Oh, cool. Let me know if you have any recommendations. I need an excuse to stay holed up in my room. Recommendations? Alright, I'll think of something when I get home. Thanks. Alright, I guess this is where we part ways. Yeah. I wanted to keep talking. It seemed like Kazemiya felt the same, as a faint air of reluctance hung between us. Well, good night, Narumi. Yeah. Good night, Kazemiya. Tomorrow after school, at the usual place. We said it in perfect sync. Chapter 2, The Uncomfortable Home. Thanks to the little detour caused by my newly formed alliance, I returned home later than usual. As I glanced at the nameplate engraved with Sujikoa, my legal surname now, I unlocked the door to my new home, the key feeling heavier than usual. My first instinct was to quietly head straight upstairs without being noticed. But even I made it a point to at least show my face in the living room. I'm home. Welcome back. Mom, sitting at the living room table with her tablet, raised her head to greet me. She was busy working on her manuscript as usual. Welcome back, Kuta. Thanks for working so hard. Joining Mom in welcoming me was Akihiro Sujikoa, my new stepfather and Mom's new husband. Even though his work must keep him busy, he still takes the time to greet me like this. He really is a good person. I was just about to make some coffee for Makiko-san. Would you like some too? Oh, no, I'm fine. Thank you. All right. It is getting late, after all. Without showing any sign of offense, Akihiro began brewing coffee for Mom. Well, I'll head to my room now. Good night. Good night. Rest well. Neither Mom nor Akihiro commented on why I bothered showing my face in the living room in the first place. Akihiro simply saw me off with a warm smile as I headed upstairs. He really is a good person. Every time I interact with Akihiro, it becomes painfully clear to me. I'm just a kid. A selfish, immature kid who hasn't adjusted, who's still running away from this new family. I can't help but feel guilty. How much longer are you going to keep disappointing me? Damn it. The voice of that man flashed through my mind, an intrusive memory I still couldn't shake. Even now, it's etched deep inside me, a memory I can't forget, no matter how hard I try. Damn bastard. It's so messed up. I can't bring myself to call Akihiro a genuinely kind person Dad, yet I still call that bastard father in my mind. It's moments like these that drive home the realization that the concept of father has rooted itself in me far more deeply than I'd like, that he still lingers in my heart. Maybe I'll just take a bath and go to bed. Or maybe I'll watch one of the movies Kazemiya recommended on my way home. She already sent me a few suggestions via text. With that decision made, I hurried down the hallway toward my room. Welcome home, Nii-san. The voice stopped me in my tracks. It belonged to a girl a year younger than me. She was dressed in light-colored loungewear, her petite frame enveloped in soft fabric. Her long, waist-length hair was flawlessly neat, and her composed demeanor exuded elegance. Oh, yeah. I'm home, Sujikowa. The words I managed to squeeze out felt wrong the moment I said them. Her name is Katomi Sujikowa, my stepsister. As her stepbrother, I should be addressing her as Katomi, not by our shared last name. No brother calls his sister by her family name, especially not when she's been making such an effort to bridge the gap between us, going so far as to call me Nii-san despite us having been strangers until recently. And here I am, with this clumsy behavior. She must think it's ridiculous. Too bad. If you'd just casually called me Katomi, I would have awarded you 10 little sister points, Nii-san. I had no idea what little sister points were supposed to mean, but I could tell this was Katomi's way of being considerate. She was trying to ease the burden on me, a stepbrother who couldn't act like a proper older sibling and hadn't adjusted to being part of this family. Her light-heartedness was intentional. I could tell that much. And that knowledge made me feel even more pathetic. Pathetic and miserable for making her go out of her way to accommodate me like this. You got home later than usual today. Sorry. I was walking a friend home. I wasted no time leaning on the freshly formed alliance as an excuse. A friend? Is it the famous Inumaki-senpai? No, it was another friend. Another friend. Could it be a girl? Her sharp question caught me off guard, and my hesitation must have shown on my face. Katomi's lips curled into a sly, playful smile. Foo. Did I ask something out of line? Well, in that case, it makes sense that you'd be late. I told you. It's just a friend. Not the kind of relationship you're imagining. Got it. I'll take your word for it and keep it from Mom and Dad. Such discretion toward my dear brother. That's worth 10 little sister points, don't you think? Even as she played the teasing little sister, Katomi cast a brief glance toward the stairs leading down to where Mom and Akihiro were. I get it, but try to at least send a quick message next time. Mom was worried about you. Mom, Katomi's incredible, really. I haven't even managed to call Akihiro Dad to his face, and yet here she is, so effortlessly using Mom. It only made my own shortcomings and guilt bubble up inside me. Sorry. I'll be more careful. That's a good idea. For being so receptive to your little sister's scolding, I'll award you 5 little sister points. With that, Katomi turned and walked back to her room. Nii-san. I understand how you feel, but for Mom and Dad's sake, even if it's just a little, please try to stay at home. A normal family is one where everyone is together. I couldn't respond to Katomi's words. I hesitated to make a promise I didn't feel capable of keeping. Katomi probably didn't expect an answer, either. She said nothing more as her door quietly closed behind her. It felt like I'd just finished a grueling boss fight. Breathing a sigh of relief, I returned to my own room. As I settled in, a thought struck me. I'd bumped into Katomi in the hallway, which meant she'd been planning to go downstairs. So then, what was she doing coming out of her room in the first place? That small mystery lingered as the night came to an end. Section. The next morning. As I stepped into the living room after washing my face, a refined aroma that perfectly suited the fresh morning air greeted me. Good morning, Kuta-kun. Good morning. All right, morning greeting quota, achieved. Thinking of it as a quota makes me hate myself a little. Good morning, Kuta. Come on, sit down at the table already. Katomi made breakfast for us again today. On the table were a spread of white rice, soy sauce grilled salmon, miso soup, and side dishes like komatsuna greens. A textbook example of a Japanese breakfast. Back when it was just Mom and me, breakfast was usually toast. Mom's work often kept her up late, so our mornings were quick and simple. Not that I ever complained. I didn't want her spending extra time on me. But now, with breakfasts this elaborate, I can't help but feel a little surprised every time. Thanks for the meal. Taking my seat at the table, I gratefully dug in. Ah, this is so good. I'm so lucky to have breakfasts like this every day. Thank you, Mom. Is there anything you don't like? Not at all. Everything Kotomi makes is delicious. Isn't it, Kuta? Oh, yeah. It's all really good. That's a relief. Honestly, Dad should take a page from you too. Still can't eat green peppers? Really? But they're bitter. I can't help it. You're not a kid anymore. Point taken. To an outsider, this probably looked like a scene of harmonious family life. But I know better. This cheerful conversation tiptoes carefully around certain topics. Like navigating a minefield, avoiding the visible hazards. And I know full well that it's me who's laid this minefield, which only deepens my guilt and discomfort. By the way, Kotomi, have you gotten used to high school yet? Yes, no issues so far. You're not in any clubs, are you? Don't hold back if there's something you want to try. I've been invited to join a few, but I'm still undecided. I do want to try something, though. I see. Take your time deciding. I'm sure whatever you do, you'll do great. Mom's words suddenly trailed off. Her expression froze, as if she'd accidentally stepped on one of those mines. That's right. Kotomi, whatever you choose, I'm sure you'll excel. No need to rush, just take your time and decide what you want. I wondered if my words had managed to smoothly bridge the gap where Mom faltered. It wasn't something I could ask them directly. Thanks for the meal. Finishing the carefully prepared breakfast in one go, I quickly tidied up my dishes. Well, I'm heading out. See you later. Oh, take care. Grabbing my bag, I left the house. It was much earlier than my usual time to leave for school, but I didn't have a choice. I didn't belong in that cheerful family scene. I was just getting in the way. Section. To put it simply, I'm the child who couldn't live up to his father's expectations. In sports, in academics, there wasn't a single area where I ever met the standards my father considered acceptable. That ultimately became the reason for my parents' divorce. And now, my mother's new husband, Akihiro Tsujikowa, has Kotomi Tsujikowa, the perfect daughter, by his side. A failure like me, and a flawless stepsister. It's never been explicitly stated, but I can tell, when my mother remarried Akihiro-san and brought Kotomi, this perfect girl, into the family, she must have silently resolved to follow a set of unspoken rules. Rules to avoid touching on topics that might remind me of being discarded by my father for being a failure. For instance, never comparing the brother and sister. For instance, not overly praising the sister's excellence. For instance, refraining from discussing individual abilities altogether. When interacting with me, those subjects are treated as taboo. Of course, I'm sure the details of the divorce have been shared with Akihiro-san as well. This is my mother's way of being considerate, a rulebook for navigating our new family dynamic. But these rules inevitably limit the praise Kotomi deserves as the outstanding individual she is. It's a tricky balance, handling a failure of a son and a brilliant stepsister as a parent. And yet, this carefully measured consideration is something I can't help but notice. The awareness that I'm being tiptoed around only makes being there more uncomfortable. But it's not Mom's fault. It's not Akihiro-san's fault. And it's certainly not Kotomi's fault. So whose fault is it? That's obvious. It's my fault. Narumi Kuta, the failure. The one ruining this new family's harmony is none other than me. That's exactly why I feel so out of place. In that house. Section. Fleeing from the stifling morning family time, I made my way to school, only to realize something during lunch break. Crap. I forgot to buy lunch. I usually pick up lunch at a convenience store on the way to school, but today, I'd been so preoccupied with escaping the discomfort of that house that I completely forgot. Oh, really? So, what are you gonna do? Wanna hit the cafeteria? It's probably packed by now. I'll just grab some bread from the school store. Then I guess I'll tag along. You have your bento, don't you? Of course, but I'll still eat that. I just want to grab something for an afternoon snack too. There's a morning snack as well. This morning it was romcom, the kind they sell at the convenience store near the school. The eggs make it so sweet and delicious. Note, romcom is a kind of spit cake from German cuisine. It is also a popular dessert in Japan. The characteristic rings that appear in its slices resemble tree rings, and give the cake its German name, romcom, which literally translates to tree cake or log cake. So that's what you were munching on during class. Well, as a fellow high school boy in his prime, I could understand the occasional craving. I'll grab some juice while I'm at it. I think they've got a limited edition one in stock. Oh, that carrot soda? You're quite the adventurer. Exactly. Doesn't it just sound intriguing? What about you, Kuta? Melon soda as usual. I'm not as bold as you. Besides, finding a vending machine that sells melon soda is rare. You've got to savor it when you can. After successfully securing my lunch bread and melon soda, we made our way back to the classroom without delay. Ha! What's going on over there? As I returned to my seat with the bread in hand, ready to enjoy a slightly late lunch break, I noticed an unusual buzz of activity in the classroom. All right, let's hold a class party this Friday. The voice at the center of it all belonged to a boy, Sawada. His energetic declaration was met with enthusiastic cheers from the classmates around him. Sawada. Full name, Sawada Takeru. He stood in the upper 170 centimeters range, with a fresh, summery look about him that screamed prince. His presence alone exuded an aura that naturally conjured the image of royalty. Not just the ace of our school's basketball team, he was also a top-ranking student admired by teachers and students alike. In every sense opposite of Kazemiya, Sawada was the quintessential school prince, known even to someone like me, who tended to be out of the loop when it came to gossip. A class party? We didn't have one last year, did we? What even is a class party? It's like a gathering where we eat snacks, hang out, and have fun. With so many people, it's probably going to be karaoke or something like that. So basically, it's a party. A fitting event for the prince of the top caste to enjoy. Judging from the situation, it seemed like this was a spur-of-the-moment decision. The stark contrast in initiative was a bit intimidating. Alright, anyone joining, just message the class group. Details about the class party quickly filled the group chat as people started confirming their attendance one after another. Kuta, are you going? You don't have work that day, do you? Pass. I took the day off to stay home. Gotta set aside time like this occasionally for Mom's sake. More importantly, after what happened this morning, I needed to reassure her a little. With that thought in mind, I sent a quick message to the group to confirm I wouldn't be attending. Guess I'll sit this one out too. You should go. Don't you enjoy things like this? I do, but I was already invited by some other friends for the same day. I was debating which to attend, but if you're not going, I might as well hang out with the other group. Broadens my options, you know? Thanks to the prince's influence, nearly everyone in the class, except me and Natsuki, seemed eager to join the event. Kazemiya. The moment Sawada called her name, the lively atmosphere around us paused momentarily, then sharpened with interest as all eyes focused on the two of them. The look in their eyes, there was no mistaking it. It was curiosity. What? Kazemiya took off her white and silver headphones and turned toward Sawada, who had approached her seat. Now I could tell, the sideways smartphone screen she had been looking at was playing a movie. We're having a class party after school on Friday. Want to join us? Not interested. Kazemiya's response was refreshingly blunt, cutting through the invitation with icy precision. Even an offer from the school's prince held little appeal for her. Sorry for the sudden notice. Did you already have plans? Not that it's any of your business. Her tone wasn't just curt, it was absolute zero. The frigid response seemed to spark subtle resentment among some of Sawada's admirers in the class. Got it. Then I'll mark you as a no-show. One last thing, though. Could you share your contact info? It'd be helpful to have everyone in the group for events like this. Now that he mentioned it, there were 34 members in the group chat, one less than the total number of students in Class 2D. The missing member was none other than Kazemiya Kohaku. Perhaps her absence from the group was her way of avoiding intrusive questions about her famous older sister. I already turned you down once. I thought you might have changed your mind. I haven't. Then how about just exchanging contacts with me? If group notifications bother you, I can act as your point of contact. That way, you can let me know directly if you decide to join next time. Impressive. I couldn't help but silently applaud his well-thought-out strategy. He had likely anticipated her refusal and adjusted his pitch accordingly, presenting a benefit for her while keeping things simple. No thanks. I'm not interested in class parties to begin with. But even that wasn't enough to sway Kazemiya. For someone like her, who likely dealt with people trying to use her for connections to her sister, keeping her circle small was a matter of self-preservation. Got it. But if you change your mind, feel free to let me know anytime. Sure, thanks for that. Without breaking her cool demeanor, Kazemiya ended her conversation with Sawada. Even the school prince and hero of the second years couldn't win her over. Kazemiya Kohaku truly was formidable. What's with her? Acting all high and mighty, after Sawada-kun went out of his way to invite her, to think she's full of herself because her sister's famous? That's totally possible. I mean, it's Kazemiya, after all. Must be nice, being the little sister of someone famous. You get to do whatever you want. Though their voices were slightly hushed, the volume of their whispers was still loud enough for everyone to hear. It was as if they didn't care whether she heard them or not. In the enclosed space of the classroom, their gossip carried unusually well. Kazemiya herself had already put her headphones back on, retreating into the world of her movie, but even that seemed to rub them the wrong way. The glances directed at her were noticeably sharp and tinged with resentment. This was likely Kazemiya's way of protecting herself. By keeping everyone at a distance, rejecting them outright, she endured their gossip and spent her time alone. That kind of strength, the ability to choose solitude, felt almost dazzling to me. While munching on my bread, I pulled out my phone and opened the messaging app. In my not-so-lengthy list of contacts, one name stood out, Kohaku. The account had a white cat as its icon. I tapped it and opened the chat. Kuta, are you sure you didn't want to exchange contact info? What am I doing? This is none of my business. I regretted sending the message almost immediately and was about to delete it when Kohaku, definitely not. Her reply came before I could erase my words. I'd half expected her to scold me for meddling, but her response was surprisingly neutral. Kuta, wouldn't it be easier to share your contact info? You wouldn't have to keep getting asked about it. Kohaku, sharing it would be more trouble than it's worth. Kohaku, plus, it'd just make other girls jealous for no reason. Kohaku, if I joined the class group, I'd get a flood of requests. Kohaku, if I reject them, people would hold it against me. If I accept, I'd have to deal with endless messages. Kuta, so, no matter what you do, it's a lose-lose situation. Kohaku, pretty much. Kohaku, and besides, if I get too involved. Kohaku, I might end up being cornered into a couple situation without realizing it. Kohaku, then, when I turn the guy down, I'll somehow end up as the bad guy. Had something like that happened to her before? Given her looks, stunning enough to be mistaken for an idol, it wouldn't be surprising if she had dealt with such problems in the past. For her, cutting ties from the start probably seemed like the easiest solution. Kuta, sorry for the random message. My bad. Kohaku, it's fine since it's you. Kohaku, I'm not planning on giving my contact info to anyone else anyway. Wait, it's fine because it's me. What kind of criteria is that? Kuta, because of our alliance. Kohaku, because of our alliance. Kohaku, Anne. Kohaku, talking to you is fun. Talking to her is fun for me, too. I typed the words but deleted them before I could hit send. Saying that outright felt too embarrassing. Instead, I sent her a random stamp featuring a cat character to cover up my feelings. Kohaku, what's with that stamp? Kohaku, wait. Kohaku, it's way too cute. Kuta, calm down. Kohaku, I'm buying it too. After a brief pause, a stamp arrived. It must have been the one she just purchased. Kuta, that was fast. Kuta, how much do you like cats, anyway? Kohaku, this much. Kuta, stop spamming them. Kohaku, nope. Stamps came in rapid succession. She seemed to have taken quite a liking to it. Why not exchange contact info while we're at it? That conversation from last night replayed in my mind. Thinking about it, Kazemiya had been the one to suggest exchanging contact info, something even Sawada couldn't manage. Ko. Was that her way of acknowledging me as a worthy ally? Ko. The fact that I held something the second-year prince couldn't get made my phone, barely a year old, feel warmer in my hands. Kohaku, someone's been calling you for a while now. A new message popped up from Kazemiya. Calling me? Kuta. Ha. Natsuki? Yeah, me. I've been calling you forever, but you didn't respond at all. Natsuki pouted, puffing his cheeks. Even that little gesture carried an odd charm when he did it. Oh, sorry. I was distracted by my phone and didn't notice. Yeah, you seemed pretty absorbed. You didn't even hear my voice. I said I'm sorry. So, what were you trying to say? This. Natsuki pulled out what looked like advance movie tickets, 2 of them, to be precise. You mentioned being interested in this movie before, right? A friend gave me some, so you can have them. Thanks, but are you sure? You're not planning to see it yourself? I got my own. My friend gave me too many, though, so I didn't know what to do with the extras. Having multiple friends in the movie industry is tough sometimes, you know? Your network is something else, man. Not just students, but working adults in the film industry. What kind of connections did he even have? Wanna go see it together? That's a tempting offer, but I'll pass this time. That's rare. You're usually the one inviting me. I thought about it, but I figured you should invite your new friend instead. What? You're wondering how I knew? Please, it's obvious. I've known you for years, Kuta. Watching you smiling at your phone like that makes it clear. You've made a new friend. I instinctively touched my cheek. Was I really that easy to read? Was it that obvious I was enjoying myself? Totally. Natsuki had a sharp intuition sometimes. I'd like to think it wasn't just me being overly expressive. You know, it makes me happy. You don't have many friends, so seeing your social circle grow is a relief. Geez, sorry for not being popular. No, I mean it. I'm genuinely happy for you. You've found a new place to belong, a break from your difficult home life. Even if it's not with me, I'm glad for you. Apparently, I'd made Natsuki worry more than I realized. Thanks, Natsuki. You're welcome. Enjoy yourself. The tickets Natsuki gave me were for a basketball-themed coming-of-age movie I'd been curious about. The buzz on social media was great, and the premise sounded interesting. Oh yeah, wasn't this part of a series? Kazemiya's recommendation list included one of the earlier movies. Maybe I'll watch that when I get home to catch up before seeing the new one. I carefully folded the tickets and tucked them into my phone's wallet case. Just holding those 2 small pieces of paper somehow made me look forward to after school more than usual. Section. As usual, after finishing my part-time job, I headed straight to the family restaurant on my way home. Before my shift, I had received a message from Kazemiya saying, I'll head over first, complete with one of her newly purchased cat stamps. When I arrived, the staff guided me to our usual spot, but today was different. Scanning the familiar area inside the restaurant, I spotted her. There she was, her dazzling golden hair catching the light, sitting with her white and silver headphones on as she watched a movie on her smartphone. Her appearance was flashy, but somehow, just sitting there, she looked picture perfect. That was just Kazemiya for you. Oh, you're here. Yeah, I'm here. Kazemiya and I only hit it off, if you could call it that, yesterday. We weren't close friends or anything like that. In fact, We'd been strangers up until then. So, I wasn't quite sure how to approach her. The tone, the vibe, whatever you want to call it, of our interactions still felt unfamiliar. Why are you just standing there? Well, texting in the chat is one thing, but now that we're face to face, I wasn't sure how to act. Yeah, I get that. Apparently, Kazemiya was feeling the same way. Guess we really were on the same wavelength in unexpected ways. Let's not overthink it. We're better off keeping things casual. No point in stressing out over this, right? The nuance of her words wasn't lost on me. She was hinting at the fact that we both had enough to deal with at home without adding unnecessary tension here. True. If we can't relax here, we'll burn out. Exactly. We're allies, after all. If either of us ends up exhausted, it defeats the purpose. Nodding in agreement, I opened the menu. Oh, a limited-time grape-themed fare, huh? Do you like grapes? They're fine. I usually stick to rotating through the regular menu, though. Limited-time items are a nice way to mix things up. Yeah, eating the same thing all the time gets boring. To be fair, the fact that we come here often enough for that to happen might be part of the problem. Anyway, it's a dessert, so I'll save it for after dinner. For now, I think I'll go with pasta for tonight. After adding the drink bar set to my order, I filled my glass with melon soda and returned to the table. You always start with that. Is it some kind of personal rule? Wait, really? I didn't even notice. Haha, you didn't notice? How much do you like melon soda? Seeing her laugh like this made her seem much softer than the impression she gave in the classroom. Was I just too easily swayed? What about you, Kazemiya? What do you like to drink? A bit of everything. But I guess I drink tea the most. Not a fan of coffee. It's not that I dislike it. I drink it at chain cafes all the time. Now that you mention it, I wonder why. Looks like you're on autopilot too. Seems like it. So, Kazemiya's a tea person. I'd always been a little curious about what she drank, but I never thought I'd actually find out. Just then, someone walked by with what I assumed was freshly brewed coffee from the drink bar, the aroma lingering as they passed. Ah, I think I get it now. The smell of the coffee must have reached Kazemiya too. She gazed at the passerby's back with a hint of self-deprecation in her expression. I don't like the smell of coffee. It reminds me of being at home. Was it her sister or her parents who drank coffee regularly? Well, it didn't really matter to me. I wasn't about to pry into someone else's family life. That was one of my personal rules. Even if I found myself listening to someone vent, I didn't let that change. Got it? That's a pretty indifferent response. Because it doesn't matter to me. Honestly, that's what I like about you, Narumi. What part of me? You don't try to dig into my family stuff. Sounds like you picked me as your venting partner because of that. If only everyone else were like that, life would be easier. Kazemiya's face looked exhausted, and there was a faint restlessness about her. Was this it? Was she about to start? If you feel like venting, I'll listen. Seriously? Wait, how'd you know I wanted to vent? I've gotten pretty good at picking up on it from my co-workers at my part-time job. It's like a sixth sense now. A sixth sense. Something about that seemed to tickle her funny bone, and she burst out laughing. Isn't that the whole point of this alliance? You're a lifesaver, really. Looks like I was right to choose you, Narumi. With that, Kazemiya let out a long, dramatic sigh and slumped onto the table. Ooh, I'm just so tired. People keep asking me to introduce them to my sister, give them her contact info, or even sign something for them. Ever since I started my second year, it's been non-stop. It's so annoying. They're such a bother. I wish they'd just leave me alone. There are still people in our class asking you that stuff. Not from our class anymore. It's mostly kids from other classes now. Oh, and the first years. They're the worst. Makes sense. The new students probably don't know any better. That sounds rough. Yeah, it's rough. Like I mentioned in our messages, today was especially awful because of Sawada. You saw that, didn't you? Well, yeah, I did. What's his deal? I'm not even interested in the class party, and then he has the nerve to ask for my personal contact info. which got the other girls glaring at me. Well, Sawada does have a lot of fans. He's practically the prince of the second years. Not thinking about how his fans might feel about what he did. He's quite the prince, isn't he? She's really jaded. But it's no wonder. Having to deal with her sister's fans and the prince's fans would wear anyone out. Can't you tell Sawada to keep his fans in line? Don't be ridiculous. You're both guys, aren't you? Don't lump us together. He's part of the top-tier cast, and I'm just a commoner crawling at the bottom. The only thing we have in common is that we're both bipedal. If I said something like that to him, it'd be off with my head in 2 seconds flat in another era. What's that supposed to mean? Haha. At that moment, the pasta I ordered was delivered, conveniently breaking the conversation. Thanks for the meal. Narumi, you always say thanks for the meal and that was delicious, don't you? Is that weird? No, it's polite. I think it's a good habit. It's not about being polite. I lived with my mom until recently, just the two of us. People would make comments like, of course, he's from a single mother household, or his mom must have raised him poorly, saying it is just my way of shutting them up. So you've had your own struggles too. For the record, I'm happy with how things are. Mom's remarried, and she seems happy now too. Don't worry. I'm not pitying you, and I don't plan to. Kazemiya often says I'm easy to be around, but if anything, I find her much easier to deal with. While I was quietly eating my dinner, my phone lit up with a call from Mom. Sorry, can I take this? Go ahead. After getting her permission, I answered. Hello. Mom. Kuta, where are you right now? On my way back from work. Stopping somewhere again? Yeah, sort of. I thought we'd just repeat the same conversation as yesterday, but I heard Mom sigh softly on the other end. I'm sorry. About this morning. What I said. Ha! Comparing you to that person. It's not that I favor Katomi or that I'm disappointed in you. Don't worry about it. I'm not bothered. It seemed this morning's incident was still weighing on her. Are you staying out late again because of that? Yesterday, you came home later than usual. I started thinking maybe you won't come home at all. That's not it. Yesterday, I was hanging out with a friend. We got caught up talking. Besides, it was a girl. I walked her home. You know, it's dangerous for a girl to walk alone. Same thing today, we're just talking at a cafe, that's all. A girl. Kuta, you don't have female friends. Don't make stuff up. I'm not lying. It wasn't entirely untrue. I was talking to Kazemiya, and I did walk her home. But yeah, I couldn't blame Mom for doubting me. Before this alliance, I didn't have a single female friend. While I was trying to think of a way to convince her, Kazemiya tapped my shoulder lightly. Want me to take over? What? If I talk to her, she'll believe you, right? Now that she mentioned it, that would probably work. I couldn't think of any other solution. Sorry, but can I count on you? Leave it to me. In the end, the only thing I could do was rely on my alliance partner. Hello. This is Kohaku Kazemiya, Kuta's classmate. Oh, hi. I'm sorry for troubling you yesterday. He walked me home because he was worried about me. And I'm sorry for keeping your son so late today too. Yes, I understand. Goodbye. After what sounded like a meaningful conversation, Kazemiya handed the phone back to me, and I resumed the call. Hello. When did you suddenly make a female friend? Recently? I see. I'm sorry for doubting you. I need to stop letting that person hold me back and move on. Don't worry about it. I'm fine as long as you're happy. Thank you. It seemed she'd finally calmed down. Good. Mom's overthinking and constant concern were ultimately my fault. I didn't want her to worry so much or think too deeply about things. Before hanging up, she even told me, say thanks to Kazemiya-san. And make sure you walk her home. Was that overstepping? Honestly, it was a huge help. Thanks. That's what this alliance is for. Though I guess I did but in a bit. Sorry. I'd have a hard time asking you to talk to my mom for me, so honestly, I'm really grateful you did. Glad to hear that. Afterward, we ordered grape parfaits for dessert and chatted for a bit longer before leaving the restaurant. Oh, by the way, I watched one of the movies you recommended. Already? Wait, seriously? You've already seen it? Coming from the one who sent me the recommendations, that's rich. Well, yeah, but it was late last night. I just needed a change of pace. Thinking back, I was in a bad mood after recalling some stuff about my dad. I see. Well, I'm glad it helped. So, which one did you watch? Double Cat. One of the movies Kazemiya had recommended. It's an animated buddy detective story about two cats, a black cat and a white cat, solving cases in a city populated by anthropomorphic animals. The characters are charmingly designed, making it a big hit among families. A sequel is apparently coming out soon. What did you think? Can I be honest? Go ahead. After a brief pause to build some suspense, I gave my verdict. It was awesome. Right. Kazemiya's usually cool demeanor softened into a smile. The action scenes were super slick, and the story had that classic, hot-blooded shonen manga vibe. Especially the scene where the white cat, Try, gets captured, and the black cat, Tref, gets ambushed by the enemy boss. That moment when Tref resolves to fight back and rises again? Absolute peak. Definitely my favorite part. I know, right? That's my favorite scene too. And that reverse item setup in the detective office earlier in the movie? Total Chekhov's gun. Yeah. When I realized it was foreshadowed, I almost shouted. And it was nighttime. I did shout. Good thing I wasn't bothering anyone else. Haha, when I first saw it, I nearly shouted too but managed to cover my mouth in time. Foo-foo. Chem. What's so funny? It's just. I'm having fun. Kazemiya's laugh was genuine, and under the twilight sky, her expression seemed to shine even brighter. I usually watch movies just to kill time outside the house. Honestly, I never cared about sharing my thoughts or recommending them to others. I've never even suggested a movie to a friend before. But talking about it like this is actually really fun. It's kind of surprising. If you ever feel like talking about a movie, I'm all ears. Really? Yeah. I'd like to share thoughts after watching something too. I don't have much use for the money I earn from my part-time job, so hobbies aren't exactly my strong suit. In that sense, I found myself a bit envious of Kazemiya's interest in movies. Oh, speaking of movies, I almost forgot. I took out the advance tickets I had tucked into my phone case. I got these advance tickets. Is that for the basketball movie everyone's talking about? Apparently. Wanna go see it together? Huh? Are you sure? I mean, I got 2 tickets. I could see it twice by myself, but it's more fun to share the experience. Plus, it seems like your kind of movie. You're not wrong. Thought so. So, what do you say? Thanks. I'd love to go. After agreeing on the plan, I handed her one of the tickets and pulled up the calendar on my phone. So, when should we go? I'll match your schedule. I don't have a part-time job or anything. Thanks. Honestly, that's a relief. Turns out my packed work schedule was finally catching up to me. How about Thursday, the day after tomorrow? My shift got rearranged, so I'll have the whole evening free after school. Got it. I'm looking forward to it. I've been curious about this movie for a while. Honestly, I'm surprised you haven't seen it yet. There were other movies I wanted to see first. Plus, this one's part of a series, right? I wanted to rewatch the earlier ones before diving into the new one. Should we push it back a bit, then? No need. I just rewatched them recently, so I'm good. What about you? Well, I'll probably watch the earlier ones tonight or tomorrow. They're on your recommendation list, so I was planning to watch them anyway. You don't have to push yourself. You've got work, right? I'm not pushing myself. Seems like we have similar tastes, so your picks are probably solid. I'm actually kind of excited. If you say so. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. Oh, by the way, Narumi, do you have any recommendations for me? For movies? Sure, or anything else. Any hobbies? Hobbies, huh? I wouldn't really call it a hobby, but I guess gaming. Then recommend me a game. I'll buy it too. Let's see. Recently, I've been hooked on. Before I could finish, We'd already arrived at Kazemiya's house, and we parted ways for the day. On the way home, I started thinking about what would happen when I got back. Sure, I'd managed to distract Mom from worrying about me coming home late. But now, I could already imagine her bombarding me with questions about Kazemiya. Still, compared to the discomfort of navigating awkward tension at home, this was probably a much better problem to have. Section. So, what's the deal between you and Kazemiya-san? The next morning, the dining table wasn't the site of a warm family breakfast. For me, it was the unavoidable scene of an interrogation. Kazemiya-san? Who's that? Kuto apparently has a girlfriend. Oh, a girlfriend? Way to go, Kuto. I was surprised too. This boy's never had a shred of romantic gossip about him before. As a writer, I'd love to interview him about the romantic life of a high school boy. Mom had always been the type to dive headfirst into anything she thought might make for good material, thanks to her profession as a writer. But ever since the divorce, that side of her had quieted down. She even seemed to hold herself back out of consideration for me. She's just a friend, like I said. A friend? She had a pretty cute voice for just a friend. That's just her voice. You've got an overactive imagination. Well, I am a writer, after all. For a teenage boy, this level of parental teasing was a bit much, but the atmosphere wasn't unpleasant. The usual guilt and discomfort I felt at home were gone. Given how much I made Mom worry and carry the burden for both of us, being the clown for her entertainment now and then felt like a small price to pay. Come to think of it, this might be the first time. Since moving to this house, this might be the first time I've sat at the dining table without any lingering guilt. For once, it felt like a genuine family moment. Oh, Kuta, you don't have work this Friday, do you? Why don't you take her out on a date? I can even sponsor your outing if you need some funds. Appreciate the offer, but I'm planning to come straight home. Even Akihiro-san, my new stepdad, was joining the conversation casually. I wasn't wolfing down breakfast like I usually did. I was eating at a normal pace, almost like I was under a spell. Kazemiya power is terrifying. The fact that a single phone call from Kazemiya had improved the atmosphere at home this much was astounding. Of course, this was temporary. I couldn't talk about Kazemiya 24/7. But for now, the improved atmosphere was undeniable, and maybe I should thank her for it. Katomi, if you ever want to hang out with friends, feel free to go out. A little detour now and then is fine. I'm fine. I'd rather spend time here with the family. Come to think of it, I'd never seen Tsujikowa Katomi hanging out with friends. Since I moved into this house, the only times she went out were with Mom or Akihiro-san. Even her personal errands were done quickly and efficiently. Unlike me, Tsujikowa Katomi was always with her family. So, it's Kazemiya-senpai, her. Hee. What is it, Tsujikowa? I just didn't expect her to be your friend. Now that she mentioned it, I vaguely recalled talking to Tsujikowa about Kazemiya the night we formed our alliance. Katomi, you know Kazemiya-san? She's already a topic of conversation among the first years. She's practically a celebrity. Celebrity, her. That word sent a faint shiver through me. Tsujikowa wasn't wrong. Kazemiya was famous in our school. There was her sister, Kyuan, and then there were also the negative rumors surrounding her. If those came up now, it could cause problems. Mom might start worrying again, or worse, I might get told to stay away from her. What kind of rumors? They say there's this incredibly beautiful senior in the second year. When I first saw her, I honestly thought she was a model or an idol. Maybe even a celebrity. Wow. A girl like that really exists. Maybe I should interview her someday. Who knows, maybe one day my brother will invite her over. If that day comes, hopefully it's a weekend. I'd love to meet her, but I work on weekdays. Thankfully, the conversation didn't touch on the negative rumors or her sister, and time passed without incident. Akihiro-san left for work, and later I found myself standing in front of Tsujikowa's room. Taking a breath, I knocked softly. Tsujikowa. It's me. Nii-san. Her surprised voice came from the other side of the door. When it opened, her wide eyes showed just how unexpected this visit was. What's wrong? You know what kind of rumors there are about Kazemiya, don't you? Yeah, I do. Rumors about her wandering around at night, or hanging out with the wrong crowd. Baseless stories with no way to verify their truth. I also remembered Natsuki's words. If you take away the fact that she's Kyuan the singer's sister, Kazemiya Kohaku is just that kind of student in the school's eyes. So, I fully expected Tsujikowa to tell me that associating with someone like her was a bad idea. Thanks, though. For, everything. For you to go out of your way to thank me. Does that mean Kazemiya-senpai really is the bad person the rumors say she is? She's not. I've only been talking to Kazemiya Kohaku for a few days now. Before that, she was just another regular at the same family restaurant. If someone asked whether I truly knew her, I'd have to answer no. I can't say for sure that all the rumors are false. There's always a chance some of them could be true. But even so, to Tsujikowa's question, I shook my head with firm conviction. If that's what you believe, then that's good enough for me, she said. At least, that's why I didn't bring it up earlier. Mom and Dad seem to be enjoying themselves too. And besides what? A dining table where everyone laughs together feels like a normal family. As long as that's intact, I don't really care who you decide to be friends with, Nii-san. The words carried a chill for just a moment. And that concludes my performance as the accommodating little sister who's understanding of her brother's social circle. That should earn me at least 20 points toward my little sister points, right? But the very next moment, she flashed a mischievous grin, as though nothing had happened. Chapter 3, A Secret Afternoon. Doesn't Kazemiya-san seem a little off today? Off? How so? Ever since she got to school, she's been looking super sleepy. She crashes during every break, and now, look, she's been sleeping ever since lunch started. Normally, she'd be wearing her headphones and watching something. Prompted by Natsuki, I glanced over at Kazemiya's seat. Sure enough, instead of listening to music like she usually did during breaks, Kazemiya was slumped over her desk, completely out cold. It was as if she had been up all night. Now that I think about it, I did recommend a game to Kazemiya last night. Could that have something to do with this? No, that can't be it. It's rare to see Kazemiya-san like this, Everyone's curious, wondering what happened. Yeah, I wonder what happened. I quickly shook off the mental image forming in my head and continued nibbling on my lunch bread absent-mindedly. Section. I stayed up all night playing that game you told me about. Kazemiya's first words after meeting up at the family restaurant following my shift hit me like a ton of bricks. She actually pulled an all-nighter for the game. Honestly, I hadn't expected her to get this hooked, even though I was the one who recommended it. For the record, the game I suggested to Kazemiya was a newly released open-world sci-fi action RPG. Players take on the role of a mercenary traveling through the galaxy aboard a spaceship, freely exploring various planets. The story evolves based on the player's choices and actions, making it a high-profile title known for its freedom and branching scenarios. I can't believe you got so into it, Kazemiya. Where are you at now? Did you start the story quests yet? The game features story quests that progress the main plot. While it's not necessary to advance them right away, doing so unlocks additional gameplay features, giving players more options. I'm just past the tutorial and left the first planet. Wait, didn't you pull an all-nighter? Sure, the tutorial and cutscenes take some time, but not enough to warrant staying up all night. I spent the whole night on character creation. You're kidding. I've never met anyone who lost sleep over character creation before. I just couldn't settle on anything I liked. Having too much freedom can be overwhelming, Character creation, or chara-cree, is the process of designing the appearance of your playable character in a game. The game I recommended allows for extensive customization. Sometimes I see masterpieces on social media where players recreate characters from other works down to the finest detail. Apparently, Kazemiya is that type of player. You're pretty meticulous, Kazemiya? Maybe. I don't hate fiddly stuff. How about you, Narumi? Not that picky. I usually keep chara-cree simple. But it's not like I don't care at all. When I can customize equipment colors, I always use my favorite combination. And what's that? Red and gold. Nice. Sounds strong. Exactly. That's why I like it. Red and gold just look powerful. So red's your main color in games? Spot on. Gold's for accents. Your first name is Kuta, with the kanji for red. Makes sense. And you like white, right, Kazemiya? Your first name is Kohaku, meaning white. Half right. What's the other half? Actually, it's gold too. See? Kazemiya twirled a strand of her hair around her finger as she smiled sleepily. The golden sheen of her hair caught the light, mesmerizing me for a brief moment. This hair isn't dyed, it's my natural color. My dad's foreign, so. But my sister and I grew up in Japan, so it doesn't really matter much. Her phrasing, foreign, carried a detached tone, as if she were talking about someone else entirely. No. There's no point in dwelling on this. It's her business, and I don't intend to pry. When I was little, I used to get teased for my hair color, but I've grown to like it. That's why I have a soft spot for gold. I really wanted a pair of headphones in white and gold, but I couldn't find a design I liked. I settled for white and silver instead. Not my favorite, but I don't dislike it. Headphones, I've always thought it was unusual. Why headphones? Is that another one of your quirks? It's less about preference and more about self-defense. You know, wearing these makes people less likely to talk to me. Yeah, I get that. Before we started talking like this, you really gave off a vibe of don't even bother talking to me. It was her way of fending off people who approached her just to get close to her famous sister. Even so, there were always people who ignored those signals, like that one morning. But judging by her usual reactions, it wasn't like her efforts were completely ineffective. Fwa. Kazemiya stifled a small yawn with her hand, the sight so serene it could have been titled The Gentle Slumber of a White Angel in a painting. Maybe you should call it a day and head home. HNN. No. I don't wanna. Come on, you're clearly at your limit. I'm fine. Still good to go. There's no way you're convincing me when you're slumped over the table like that. But it's fun. Talking with you like this, Narumi. Way better than being at home. I understood not wanting to be at home. That feeling was all too familiar. Which was why I couldn't bring myself to insist she leave. At least take a nap here, then. I'll wake you up in a bit. Let's keep chatting. Taking a nap feels like a waste. Nap first. If you're this sleep-deprived, walking home is risky. It's fine if you're with me. You're just dumping all the responsibility on me, aren't you? We're allies, remember? That's a pretty one-sided alliance, don't you think? So does that make you my convenient guy, Narumi? Then I guess that makes you my convenient girl, Kazemiya. Fine. I'll be that for you. You're seriously half asleep, aren't you? Yeah. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Figured. She's spouting all kinds of nonsense with that angelic face of hers. Just get some sleep already. And no more games tonight. But I'm just getting to the good part. You can't really call it the good part when you've barely made any progress. My adventure is just beginning, you know. Sounds like a series that's about to get cancelled. She kept dragging this out, and I needed a line that would settle things once and for all. If you stay up gaming again, you're probably going to fall asleep during tomorrow's movie. That's not happening. It seemed that did the trick. Slowly, Kazemiya gave in to her drowsiness. No leaving me behind and going home first, okay? Of course not. Make sure you wake me up. You can count on me. Then, I'll sleep a bit. Good night. Like someone flipping a switch, Kazemiya drifted off into the world of dreams. Her angelic sleeping face, utterly unguarded, was on full display. At this moment, being able to see this side of her all to myself, I felt like the most fortunate person in the world. I'm the one who suggested you take a nap, but still. You're way too defenseless, you know. I resisted the urge to poke her cheek and took a sip of my melon soda instead, trying to distract myself. Later, after waking Kazemiya and leaving the restaurant, it became clear just how mortified she was about falling asleep at the table. I can't ever go back there. No way. The entire walk home was spent trying to console a thoroughly embarrassed Kazemiya. From that day forward, Kazemiya swore to herself that she would never pull an all-nighter gaming again. Section. The next day. It was Thursday, and from the moment I woke up, I couldn't shake a restless feeling. I found myself constantly checking the classroom clock and my phone, even though there was no real reason to. It was just a simple plan to watch a movie with a friend, so why was I so antsy? Why does class feel so long today? Was it always like this? Second period seemed like it would never end. The clock hands crawled at an agonizingly slow pace. Class always felt this way, but today, it was particularly unbearable. I mechanically took notes on what the teacher wrote on the board, but none of it registered in my head. I glanced at the clock again. Only 1 minute had passed since I last checked. 1 minute. Something was definitely wrong. Time had to be moving slower in this classroom. This is hopeless. I can't focus. At that moment, my phone vibrated with a notification. Carefully, so the teacher wouldn't notice, I pulled out my phone. It was a message from Kazemiya. Kohaku, you've been staring at the clock too much. The text was accompanied by a cat sticker she must have just bought. Kuta, no, I haven't. Kohaku, you totally have. I saw you. As I frowned at her accusation, another cat sticker popped up on the screen. Kuta, I was just thinking how slow the clock's moving today. Kohaku, right? Kohaku, I was thinking the same thing. Kohaku, someone must have messed with the clock. Kuta, who would even do that? Kohaku, the teacher, maybe. Kuta, not a student. Kohaku, if time drags on, it's the students who suffer. Kuta, that's a pretty biased assumption. Kuta, if someone likes studying, maybe they'd benefit from longer classes. Kohaku, no way. Kohaku, probably. Kuta, don't just lose confidence like that. She followed it up with a barrage of stickers, as if to avoid addressing her shaky logic. I glanced up at the board. Quite a bit of material had been covered. I needed to get back to taking notes. It seemed Kazemiya thought the same thing. Sitting diagonally in front of me, she began writing in her notebook as well. Wait. What? I looked up, and the classroom clock caught my eye again. The hands were moving, steadily marking the passage of time. Has that much time really passed? Earlier, I'd felt like time was crawling, but now it seemed to be racing ahead. Was it because I'd been caught up in chatting with Kazemiya? No, that wasn't the only reason. It was more than that. When I was with Kazemiya, time and boredom seemed to melt away. She made me forget about the suffocating atmosphere at home, about the reality of my family situation. Even though we hadn't known each other for long, I was beginning to realize how significant Kazemiya Kohaku had become to me. I wonder if... A fleeting thought crossed my mind, but I quickly brushed it aside. What was the point in wondering if she felt the same way? All right, you've written this down, right? I'm erasing the board. Ah, too late. The teacher mercilessly wiped the board clean before I could finish copying. It seemed time had flown by while I was preoccupied with thoughts of Kazemiya. Kohaku, did you just say ah or something? Kuta, missed copying something from the board. Kohaku, that's what happens when you're on your phone during class. Kuta, you're on your phone too. Kohaku, yeah, but I'm still taking notes. Kuta, I wasn't so into my phone that I missed it, you know. Kohaku, then why? Kuta, I was just thinking about something. Kohaku, thinking? Kohaku, what were you thinking about? If I had to say what I was thinking about, it was Kazemiya. There was no other answer. But there was no way I could just tell her that. This was the perfect time to dodge with a random sticker. I sent a cat sticker and quickly put my phone away. I turned my attention back to the lesson, doing my best to copy everything still left on the board. The parts one missed were a lost cause, but at least I could focus on the rest. The class eventually ended, marked by the chime signaling the end of the first period. Just as I breathed a sigh of relief, my phone vibrated again. Was Kazemiya following up on my sticker dodge? Kohaku, if you want, I can share my notes. The message was followed by an image of her notebook, neatly photographed. Kuta, Thanks. That helps a lot. Kohaku, no problem. Kohaku, sorry if it's hard to read. Hard to read? Not even close. Kuta, your handwriting's so neat it's almost scary. Kuta, if yours is hard to read, mine might as well be in code. Kohaku, that's a bit much. Kuta, did you learn calligraphy or something? Kohaku, a little, a long time ago. Kohaku, my sister did it too, but I wasn't very good. Calligraphy isn't exactly something you can be bad at. Still, it wasn't hard to imagine someone close to her had once told her otherwise. Kohaku, my sister's handwriting is incredible, though. Kohaku, it's so neat you'd think she typed it on a phone. Kuta, yeah, I saw that video she posted. Kuta, it went viral on social media recently. It was a video of her sister, Kuan, writing. She had taken sentences submitted by followers and written them out in a notebook while narrating the process. It was nothing more than that, just her handwriting in action. Yet within a minute, it had racked up tens of thousands of likes. Honestly, thinking about it objectively, that kind of influence is incredible. Getting that much attention just by writing on paper. Still. Kuta, but I think I like your handwriting more, Kazemiya. ? Kazemiya didn't reply. No sticker, no text, no nothing. Did I say something weird? I was just being honest, though. Curious, I glanced over at her. From her seat, she was looking right at me. Our eyes met, and I thought I saw the faintest blush coloring her cheeks. It was hard to tell from this distance, but it seemed like it. Still looking at me, Kazemiya opened her mouth slightly, as if to say something, and then, "Don't just say things like that out of the blue, you idiot." She mouthed the words silently, not typing them into the app but directing them at me. I wasn't exactly an expert at reading lips, but somehow I understood her perfectly. Kuta, are you embarrassed because I complimented your handwriting? Kohaku, shut up. Kohaku, I'm not embarrassed. Kuta, stop dodging and spamming cat stickers every time. Kohaku, no. Cat, 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 cat. From my seat, I could see her tapping the sticker button repeatedly. I couldn't help but chuckle softly at her stubbornness. But before I could tease her further, the chime signaling the start of second period rang. Kohaku, make sure you take proper notes this time. Kuta, I don't need you to tell me that. This is bad. When I'm messaging Kazemiya, I completely lose track of time. At this rate, my phone's battery won't last until after school, and I'm not focusing on class at all. Kuta, battery's running low, so I'm turning my phone off. Kohaku, yeah, at this rate, it'll probably die before school's out. Kohaku, I'm fine, though. I've got a portable charger. Kuta, you're well prepared. Kohaku, I spend my breaks watching movies on my phone. Kohaku, and I use it to kill time at family restaurants too. Kuta, no wonder your battery runs out so quickly. No, no, no. I can't let this drag on any further. Kuta, okay, for real this time. I'm turning it off. Kohaku, Kohaku, see you after school, then. I powered off my phone, sealing it away for good. That's it, no more messaging until after school. Somehow, though, it felt like time started moving even slower. Hurry up, after school. Section. For me, Kazemiya Kohaku, PE class is an incredibly dull time. At our school, PE is divided by gender, with the girls playing tennis. After basic drills like warm-ups and practicing swings, we pair up and rally on the court. In my case, I always end up left out. My friends are in other classes, and even if they weren't, I tend to keep my distance from people anyway. Plus, the girls' class has an odd number of students. Inevitably, I get added to a pair, forming a trio. But, wait, wasn't that group supposed to have 3 people? Oh, but it's Kazemiya-san, you know. Ah, I see what you mean. They probably don't want to be paired with someone like us either. Their deliberately loud voices, paired with sneering laughter, were impossible to miss. Well, it's not like I'm entirely blameless. My standoffish attitude, even if it's for self-protection, likely contributes to this. So, whatever. Besides, from past experience, even if I were more sociable, people like them would still talk behind my back. With my flashy appearance, I've been accused of things I've never done, like flirting with random boys. Maybe I could have navigated things more tactfully, but I'm not that mature. And so, PE class usually ends with me zoning out in the corner, doing nothing. Phones and headphones aren't allowed during PE, and if you get caught with them, they're confiscated. But today feels even more boring than usual. I miss my phone. Talking to Narumi was fun. A boy I only met a few days ago. I'd noticed him before since we frequented the same family restaurant, but we only started talking recently. Who would have thought our conversations would flow so easily, even during class? It felt less like being at school and more like being at the family restaurant. I'm so spoiled. Just having someone like Narumi as an ally is a luxury in itself. Having a comfortable place outside of home where I can forget about time is already a blessing. And yet, here I am, wishing for that same kind of happiness at school, too. I can't help but want to talk to Narumi more and more. Ah, it's Sawada-kun. The girls waiting their turn at the tennis court were now crowded along the fence, watching the boys' soccer game. Sawada. Narumi once described him as the school's resident prince. To me, he's just a troublemaker, but apparently, he's popular among the girls. Right now, he was dribbling past the opposing team. Wow, he's incredible. Even though he's in the basketball club, he's beating the soccer club at their own game. Go, Sawada-kun. Most of the girls were completely ignoring class, cheering loudly for him instead. As Sawada maneuvered past another player and launched a shot, the ball sailed into the net, drawing loud cheers from the girls. This feels more like a live concert. With all the noise, I can't even zone out properly. Time to move somewhere else. Oh, it's Narumi. Moving away from the crowd gathered by the fence, I spotted Narumi. He seemed to be on the same team as Sawada, casually chatting near the goal with Inumaki. Funny, he's just like me, hanging out on the sidelines. The difference is, with Inumaki there, he actually looks like he's having fun. Lucky. I wish I could join them. I envy Inumaki for being able to talk to Narumi so easily. Ah, looks like the teacher's scolding them. They've started jogging, probably after being told to actually participate. What are they even doing? I chuckled quietly to myself. Just watching them was entertaining. For once, PE didn't feel so dull. While the other girls were fixated on Sawada, I found Narumi much more interesting to watch. As I continued to watch the boys' soccer game, the match took a turn. Inumaki intercepted a pass from the opposing team and threaded the ball through their defense, passing to Narumi. With perfect coordination, Narumi then passed the ball to Sawada, who was charging toward the goal. Sawada lined up a shot, but it smashed into the corner of the goalpost and ricocheted high into the air. So close. That was almost perfect. Wasn't it Narumi's reckless pass that messed it up? Yeah, totally. If it were just Sawada-kun, he'd have scored for sure. Really? Narumi's pass seemed perfectly timed to match Sawada's run toward the goal. It looked like Sawada simply missed. Well, it happens, it's soccer, after all. And Sawada's in the basketball club, not the soccer club. Kazemiya-san. The deflected ball flew over the fence and into the tennis court, rolling to a stop nearby. Sawada came jogging over, presumably to retrieve it. Sorry about that. Could you grab the ball for me? Why does he have to call me out specifically? Now the other girls are glaring at me. Sure, I want to keep guys like him away from my sister, but I'd rather avoid getting caught up in this kind of drama. It's annoying and unnecessary. I debated pretending not to hear him or telling him to ask someone else, but then I noticed Narumi standing behind him. Well, fine. I picked up the ball and threw it over the fence in an arc. The ball sailed over Sawada's head and landed squarely in Narumi's hands. Perfect catch. Sorry, threw it a bit far, I said nonchalantly to Sawada. The girls glared at me as expected, but I ignored them. Narumi and I made eye contact. Since it was a rare chance, I decided to mouth something to him across the fence. Do your best. I don't know why, but the reactions of the other girls annoyed me. Narumi, noticing me, mouthed a reply back in the same way. Got it. With that, Narumi returned to the field and resumed playing soccer. Somehow, his movements seemed sharper than before. Or maybe it was just my imagination. While the other girls remained fixated on Sawada, cheering as he scored more goals, I didn't miss how Narumi and Inumaki worked together to assist throughout the match. Honestly, I wish I could talk to him directly, not just through the fence. I can't wait for after school section. After enduring what felt like an unusually long class, it was finally after school. As planned, we met near the station after leaving the classroom at slightly different times. Finding Kazemiya Kohaku, who had left the classroom before me, wasn't difficult. Even amidst the bustling crowd coming and going, Kazemiya Kohaku, listening to music with her headphones, shone brighter than anyone else. Nice assist. Cut it out. It was clear she was referring to the gym class earlier. Sawada's flashy moves were the highlight of the game. The reason we beat the soccer team was thanks to him. Sawada only stood out because of your assists, though. By the way, why'd you suddenly decide to tell me to give it my all back there? I couldn't stand those clueless people badmouthing you. Ha! I tilted my head in confusion, but Kazemiya only replied, "It's nothing," brushing the topic aside. It seemed like she didn't want me to dig any deeper. Well, whatever. Shall we go? It's a train ride. You okay with that? We're heading to the Cineplex a few stations away, right? I probably know more about the area than you do. My apologies, then. We boarded the train that arrived right on time. It's been a while since I last went to the movies. Because you work part-time even on weekends. That's part of it, but I don't really go out of my way to watch movies myself. I only go if Natsuki invites me. Natsuki? You mean Inumaki? I've always thought this, but you two are pretty close, aren't you? Well, we're childhood friends. We've been in the same class from elementary to high school. That's amazing. Oh, right. The pre-sale tickets for the movie today were actually from Natsuki. Apparently, he has multiple connections in the movie industry and didn't know what to do with all the tickets. What is Inumaki, anyway? He's not, like, a celebrity or something, right? No clue. The extent of his social network is a total mystery. The train stopped at a larger station, and the influx of new passengers filled the car to capacity. Finding a seat was out of the question. The now cramped train forced us to stand near the wall, and inevitably, I found myself much closer to Kazemiya. She was right there, closer than usual. At the family restaurant, there was always a table between us. Now, there was no such barrier, no glasses of soda, no plates piled with club sandwiches, nothing. We were close enough to touch without even reaching out. Close enough that I'd have to be careful not to let my breath reach her. Narumi, you're taller than I expected. How tall are you? I think. About 177 centimeters. Yeah, that's taller than I thought. And how tall are you, Kazemiya? I think I'm 163. I grew about a centimeter since last year. A 14 centimeter difference. That much. Oh. Thud. The train jolted suddenly, and Kazemiya lost her balance, nearly falling. Whoa. Reflexively, I caught her. The faint warmth I felt when I touched her was something I never noticed when we were sitting across a table at the family restaurant. Her delicate frame felt almost luxurious, like a fine work of art. Sorry. Why are you apologizing, Narumi? I don't know, just felt like I should. Her body was so refined, so delicate. Touching her felt like handling a fragile gemstone with bare hands, something forbidden, something intoxicatingly wrong. That's why I apologized, even though there was no way I could admit that out loud. Thanks for catching me. That's an exaggeration. It's not something worth thanking me for. Maybe. Kazemiya turned her gaze toward the window, as if trying to hide something, and fell silent. Narumi. She spoke softly after a brief pause. You're a guy, What did you think I was until now? That's not what I mean. Never mind. And with that, she went quiet again, keeping her eyes fixed on the passing scenery outside the window until we reached our stop. We walked about 10 minutes from the station to the Cineplex, where we quickly went to the counter to reserve our seats. Where do you like to sit? Kazemiya. Somewhere a little closer to the front, but still near the center. I guess. Not the back. I prefer when the screen fills my whole field of vision. I can see why. Sometimes, you just want to forget about reality, even if only for a while. Thinking about that, I secured our seats and checked my watch, which I had been unconsciously glancing at all day. We've got some time before the movie starts. Want to hit the concession stand? Do you usually buy something at the concession stand, Narumi? Depends on my mood. Usually just a drink and some popcorn. I usually get something. Same as you, just a drink and some popcorn. We each bought our usual snacks, a drink and popcorn, and headed to our seats as showtime approached. Salted popcorn, huh? Is that your favorite? It's just what I felt like today. Last time I came with Natsuki, I got a different flavor. And you? Caramel, huh? Want to try a bite of each other's? Just for fun. Friends do that. I do. Didn't know you had friends. What do you take me for? Kazemiya puffed out her cheeks slightly, looking uncharacteristically childish. Her usual demeanor at school had an air of maturity, making this side of her surprisingly endearing. Different classes, and you keep your distance at school. It was probably because of her reputation and the trouble her sister had caused. She likely didn't want her friends to get dragged into it. Oh, it's starting. The lights dimmed, and the movie began. Kazemiya was already engrossed in the screen. In the dark, the faint glow from the screen illuminated her profile, and I had to fight the urge to stare. Instead, I focused on the story unfolding in front of me. Section. That was amazing. After about 2 hours of screening, Kazemiya let out a sigh of admiration as we sat at a family restaurant near the movie theater. She was still in a dreamlike haze, and honestly, so was I. It really was. All that time rewatching the previous films paid off. Right. There were little references hidden in there that you'd only catch if you'd seen the earlier ones. Exactly. It was enjoyable on its own, but there were those scenes that hit differently if you knew the past entries. Especially the ending. The scene where the protagonist made the buzzer beater. We both said it at the same time, in perfect unison, then burst out laughing. I figured you'd love that scene, Narumi. That's my line. After sharing another laugh, our orders arrived. Thank you for waiting. I had ordered carbonara, while Kazemiya went for a hamburger steak with rice. What's up? As I was about to dig into my carbonara, I noticed Kazemiya glancing back and forth between her hamburger set and my pasta. If you want some, I can give you a bite, but only if we trade. That's not it. Okay, maybe it is. Just one bite. So you do want some, huh? Using my fork and spoon, I moved a portion of my carbonara to her plate. In exchange, she placed a piece of her hamburger steak on mine. So, what's your deal with carbonara? Trying to act mature. What? Ordering carbonara, picking salted popcorn at the movies. You're trying to seem all grown up, aren't you, Narumi? Judging maturity based on food choices, huh? It feels that way. Speaking of choices, everything you order feels kind of. If you're about to say childish, don't. Like stuff kids tend to like. You said it. She lightly kicked me under the table. It didn't hurt, just a soft, playful tap that made me feel at ease. It was the kind of gesture that highlighted the comfortable distance between friends. There's nothing wrong with that. I like those things too, sushi, fried chicken, ramen. Don't just list off every kid's favorite food you Googled just now. But yeah, I do like them. Figured as much. Not that I can talk, since I like them too. Well, I guess I know I have childish tastes. Nothing wrong with that. Why are you acting like it's a bad thing? It's just. Did your parents say something? Like, that's immature, or stop acting like a kid? How'd you know? My dad used to say the same things to me. I swirled the straw in my glass, making the ice cubes clink softly. The melon soda inside shimmered with a vivid green hue, bubbles fizzing and popping at the surface. Maybe I like melon soda partly to spite him. Sure, it's childish, but it's not like I'm doing anything wrong. So don't let it get to you. Eat what you like, do what you like. Neither of our parents are here, so who cares? You call him dad, huh? Then I guess for you, it's my mom. She's the one who says those things. Kazemiya stabbed her fork into her hamburger steak, cutting off a piece with no particular care. My sister's always been exceptional, talented, hard-working, always delivering results. It wasn't long before my mom started pinning all her hopes on her. She even started managing her diet as part of her body regimen. My sister didn't complain, but I did. Once, when we walked past a family restaurant, I worked up the courage to tell her, I want to eat there sometimes. The bite-sized piece of hamburger steak lost its heat as time passed. She got mad at me for it. Her dry laugh wasn't directed at her unreasonable mother but carried a self-deprecating undertone. Stop saying such childish things, she said. Your sister doesn't complain. Looking back, maybe that was the whole they only get mad because they care phase. Back then, my mom still had some expectations of me. Now, she doesn't expect anything, so I can eat what I like. She popped the now cool hamburger piece into her mouth as she spoke. My mom doesn't care what I do anymore. As long as it doesn't tarnish my sister's reputation or hold her back, nothing else matters. Don't embarrass your sister, don't cause trouble for her, that's all she ever says. It's always about my sister. She flicked the white ceramic coffee cup in front of her with her delicate finger, producing a soft, sharp sound. That's why, when I talked to your mom the other day, I couldn't help but feel a little envious. Envious? Of me? Yeah. She was genuinely worried about you. And when she found out you had a female friend, she got so excited. My mom would never act like that. Kazemiya gave a self-deprecating chuckle, and the conversation came to a halt. The chatter of salarymen after work and the calls of waitstaff blended into the background. Normally, those sounds would fade if we were talking, but now they stood out distinctly. Sorry. I'm not trying to lecture you or anything. I know that much. I don't pry into Kazemiya's family circumstances. She doesn't pry into mine. We vent, we listen. That's where it ends. No deeper, right? So, you don't have to feel bad about it, Kazemiya. Talking to you is so easy, Narumi. If only all guys were like you. I'd hate that. Well, yeah, I can see why. Kazemiya took a sip of her now cool tea, letting out a small sigh. This feels weird. I think this is the first time I've vented so much about my family. Now that you mention it, I think this is the first time I've casually talked about my dad like this. I've talked to Natsuki about him before, but there was always a lingering sense of guilt. It never felt like a space where I could just spill everything. Normally, just mentioning my sister or my mom would make me feel awful. I could tell, just from watching you in class. Stop it. Kazemiya puffed out her cheeks in mock indignation. At first, I used to reject the people who only approached me because of my sister. But some of them wouldn't give up. Eventually, I figured if I just acted intimidating or kept my headphones on and ignored them, they'd leave me alone. The rumors would spread, and people would drift away on their own. Just as I act politely and reserved as a form of self-defense, her aloof demeanor in class is her shield. Even I can understand that much now. Rumors about you hanging out at night with shady people, or getting involved with bad crowds, they've even reached the first years, you know. Is that so? That's such a detached reaction. It's not my problem. But why do you look so irritated, Narumi? Why? Did you ever think those rumors might be true? Her sharp question cut through the air, her voice cold and devoid of emotion. Did you ever consider that I might really be the kind of person those rumors say I am? That I might actually be out at night or hanging with the wrong crowd? She stopped moving her fork and knife, her gaze dark and piercing as it locked onto mine. Kazemiya, it's fine. We can end this alliance. You'd probably be better off without someone like me anyway. If it makes things easier for you, I'm okay with it. Thanks for the hamburger. Hey. Before she could react, I quickly stole a perfectly cut piece of her hamburger steak with my fork and popped it into my mouth. Her small cry of protest became the background music as I enjoyed the tender, flavorful bite. Yep, even cold, it's delicious. Delicious, my foot. That was my hamburger. Her resentful glare made me laugh despite myself. This isn't funny, you know? Sorry. But I just couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe what? That you stole someone's food. No. That those rumors could be true. The Kazemiya I know isn't like that. And what kind of person am I, according to you? The one who doesn't feel at home, so she spends her time at family restaurants, watches tons of movies, gets obsessively into things, stays up all night gaming, has slightly childish tastes, and makes a big deal over one piece of hamburger steak. That's who you are. Whether the rumors are true or not, whether Kazemiya is the person they say she is. I don't need to think twice. I already know the answer. Kazemiya isn't the kind of person those rumors make her out to be. That's what I think. What if I'm deceiving you? Then I'd thank you for letting me live in such a happy delusion. But honestly, what would you gain from deceiving me? You've never once made me pay for a meal, or tried to sell me some shady trinket. Why do you sound a little mad? Good question. Now that she mentioned it, my tone had been a bit harsher than I intended. Why did I even bring up those rumors in the first place? If she's okay with it, it's not something I should be concerned about. Maybe I just don't like it. I thought and thought, reaching into the depths of my mind to scoop out my true feelings. I was angry. Angry that stupid rumors made people speak ill of my friend. Now I finally understood. The reason I had acted so unlike myself. I was mad. Mad that rumors bad-mouthing a friend of mine were spreading. It was that simple. Ah, I feel better now. Like a weight's been lifted off my chest. While I felt a sense of clarity and relief, the person sitting across from me, Kazemiya, was frozen in place for some reason. What's wrong? You're zoning out. What? Ah. Kazemiya seemed oddly flustered, her behavior jittery and unusual. I'd never seen her this unsettled, not in the classroom, not at the family restaurant. Well, being called a friend to my face, and having someone get mad on my behalf. It's kind of, embarrassing. Sorry for embarrassing you. That's not it. It's not that I don't like it. If anything. Kazemiya hesitated, searching for the right words. But she must have found them quickly because, with her ears turning bright red and her gaze averted, she muttered softly, "Thanks. It made me happy." That was close. If my phone's camera had been open, I might not have been able to resist snapping a picture of her. First with her sleeping face, and now this. Cut it out, seriously. That kind of expression, it just makes me want to get closer to you. By the way, we're friends, right? Not just allies. I said it on impulse, but isn't it true? I told my mom you're a friend, too. Oh, yeah, you did say that. Of course, it's not like the alliance is gone or anything. Friends. Allies. The labels between us were piling up, but I didn't dislike it. Yeah, we're friends. Narumi Kuta and Kazemiya Kohaku are friends. About those rumors. Yeah. For what it's worth, I don't actually go out at night except to head home from this place. Sometimes I'll stop by a convenience store, but I'm not wandering around or anything. As for the stuff about being involved with sketchy people, that probably came from someone seeing me get scouted by a talent agency president. He looked pretty flashy, so that might have been it. I see. Well, that makes sense. Rumors are usually like that, aren't they? You're probably letting them circulate to scare off people trying to get to your sister, right? You figured all that out. Impressive. Anyone could guess if they knew about your family situation. Even the rumors about you wandering around at night were pretty easy to figure out. The talent scout part was unexpected, but now that you mention it, it's not all that surprising. That's the part you're supposed to be surprised about. With someone like you, a talent scout or two isn't out of the question. What's that supposed to mean? It means you're a friend with that kind of charm. Well, thanks, I guess. In class, Kazemiya probably doesn't have the best reputation. Even so, people can't seem to look away from her. They notice her, think about her. That's just how captivating she is. Want to order a parfait? I'll treat you, to make up for stealing your hamburger. I'll eat it. I called over a server and ordered a grape parfait. While waiting for her dessert, Kazemiya brought something up casually. Narumi, does it bother you? The weird rumors about me, I mean. I've never liked those kinds of rumors. And now that we're friends, I hate them even more. I get that they're a form of self-defense for you, so I'll do my best to tolerate them. You really are mature, Narumi. Not really. Someone who orders carbonara would say that. That's got nothing to do with it. We both let out small laughs, exchanging smiles. For now, at least, we could forget about everything else. The curse of the words our parents left imprinted on us, the discomfort of our homes, the rumors, none of it mattered. Here, we could laugh it all away together. But Narumi, you're unfair. How so? You know everything embarrassing about me. Watching too many movies, being obsessive about things, staying up all night gaming, having childish tastes, and even making a big fuss over a piece of hamburger. It feels like I'm the only one exposed here. That's a misleading way to put it. Then spill your own embarrassing stories. It's only fair. If anything, me being the only one sharing embarrassing stuff would be unfair. I'm the one whose secrets are all out in the open. Your so-called embarrassing things are more like cute quirks. Well, that's just your opinion. While we were talking, Kazemiya had already finished half her hamburger steak. She always carried this air of a cool beauty, yet here she was, happily devouring a hamburger steak. The contradiction was fascinating. I could watch her all day. You know, going out somewhere together again might be nice. Somewhere. Like where? Lots of places. Kazemiya tilted her head slightly in thought, her mind seemingly wandering toward the future. Karaoke, the arcade, the aquarium. Bowling might be fun too. Oh, and a dessert buffet, or that pancake place I've been wanting to try. We could see another movie or just wander aimlessly around town. And then finish the day like this, having a meal at a family restaurant. Doesn't that sound great? Yeah, that sounds really good. Right. Oh, I'd also like to try a batting center. Are you into baseball? Not at all. But, you know, in that open-world game you recommended, there's a planet midway through the story where you can play various sports minigames. Remember the batting center one? She mimicked a small batting motion, the gesture so innocent it made me smile. I could already hear her protesting if I teased her, saying, "Don't treat me like a kid." Ah, that minigame where you hit balls with a mechanical bat. Exactly. I'm hooked on it right now, it's practically all I do in the game. It made me want to try the real thing. That minigame doesn't even affect the story's progression, does it? True, but the difficulty settings are so varied. I just want to hit a home run on all of them and get full completion. That's so like you, Kazemiya. I've been playing it so much I haven't even progressed the story. You're the type who'd get stuck in the casino in RPG towns, right? I could vividly imagine her trapped in a casino, pouring all her time into it. Wait, you're saying you wouldn't? I'm the type to finish the story and be satisfied. The fun part is fully completing the game's extra content. That tracks for you. At that moment, the grape parfait we ordered arrived. Using the long spoon, Kazemiya took a bite of grape and cream while I casually brought up a suggestion. How about we go to a batting center next? Before your gaming obsession wears off. Absolutely. I've never been to one before. What about you? Back in middle school, I went a few times with Natsuki. So it's settled. Next stop, the batting center. Though, finals are coming up. I'll have to study, too. Responsible, aren't you? My mom doesn't nag me about studying, but still. If my grades drop and she tells me to quit my part-time job, that'd be annoying. I see. You already feel guilty enough as it is. Impressive how you can pick up on that so quickly. Well, even if I have to quit, I'll just run away to somewhere else. Nothing would really change. You can't do that. If I quit my job, I'd just spend all my after-school hours at the family restaurant again. But Kazemiya flatly rejected that idea, saying it was no good. You can't destroy your family with your own hands, Narumi. Your family. It's not over yet. Kazemiya. Not stepping in, not crossing the line, that's what Kazemiya wants. That's been the foundation of our alliance. But right now, for some reason, it feels like a shackle. Want me to tutor you? You just need to keep your grades up, right? If you maintain your grades, You can keep working and goofing off without issue. 2 to me. You. What's with that reaction? Out of curiosity, what was your ranking in the midterms? 24th. And you? 58th. Then it's decided. I'll be your teacher. You can call me Professor Kazemiya if you'd like. This girl's really enjoying herself. But still. Haha. What's so funny? It's just. This feels new. Talking about grades so casually like this. It's something I could never do at home. It's a topic forbidden to even bring up. A rule I didn't choose but was forced to live by. Can I complain for a bit? Of course. I'll listen if you're okay with me. Just having Kazemiya as someone to vent to makes my heart feel lighter. If it were anyone else, I'd feel weighed down by guilt and self-loathing. Tests always come with results, right? Well, yeah, that's what tests are. And when the results come out, the atmosphere at home gets even worse. Because you're being compared to someone. Close, but not quite. It's because they go out of their way not to compare me. It seemed that was enough for Kazemiya to piece things together. That's rough. Yeah. It's like I'm walking on eggshells at home. Discussions about tests completely vanish from the dinner table. On top of that, my stepsister is exceptionally gifted and attends the same school. Same school? So, she's a first year? Yeah. Her name's Tsujikawa Katomi. I've heard about her from my friends. They said there's this amazing first-year student. She gave the opening speech as the top student during the entrance ceremony, didn't she? Now that she mentions it, Katomi did enter with the highest grades. It's no surprise some upperclassmen would take notice of her. I didn't expect to be reminded of my stepsister's talents here of all places. So, she's your stepsister. Must be tough. It is. In many ways. I know it's not Katomi's fault. The discomfort in our house is something I've brought upon myself, and because of that, the guilt I feel toward her is even heavier. Have you ever tried to outshine your brilliant stepsister? To beat her through effort? The old me would have. And now? Does it look like I'm the type of guy who would do that anymore? Haha, not really. Exactly. Even if I tried, I already know how it would turn out. If my predicted failure became reality, the atmosphere at home would only worsen. I'm the same. I used to try so hard too. I thought if my sister could do it, then I could, and I had to. But I couldn't do anything. I couldn't catch up, couldn't even run in the same lane. Eventually, my mom gave up on me, and I broke too. I stopped trying to find something I could beat her at, stopped making any effort at all. Both Kazemiya and I are people who stopped. Society would tell us to never give up, never stop, never run away, that effort is what matters most. We know that. Pretty words are always right. They're never wrong. Because we know this truth, we carry guilt. I ran away from my sister, Kazemiya muttered. So what? It's fine to run away. Really, running away doesn't solve anything. It just delays the problem. True. It doesn't solve anything. And yeah, one day the problems we've put off might catch up to us. But it's not all bad. If something good comes from running away, then it wasn't wasted. Something good? I ran away from my family. But after that, I met you, Kazemiya. Now I get to spend my afternoons watching movies, enjoying myself, eating meals at a family restaurant while venting about life. I get to experience this incredibly comfortable time. That's something good. For me, it is. It's only been a few days since we became friends, but I genuinely enjoy the time I spend with you at the family restaurant, Kazemiya. Kazemiya didn't say anything. She just stared at me, looking surprised. I'm glad I ran away. What about you, Kazemiya? Kazemiya looked down, as if searching her heart for an answer. Me too. Finally, as if squeezing the words out, she spoke deliberately. I used to feel guilty. I used to feel ashamed. But now, I think I'm glad I ran away. The time I spend here, talking to you. Yeah, it's fun. At some point, going to the family restaurant, the place I had escaped to, weighed down by guilt, had become something I genuinely looked forward to. I hadn't even realized it until I put it into words. I felt like it must be the same for Kazemiya. I hoped it was. Heh. Saying you're glad you ran away, it's such a weird thing. Normally, running away is supposed to be bad, right? Yeah, it is. I don't know much about Kyuan, Kazemiya's sister, who's famous even outside our school. But right now, the smile on Kazemiya's face, it couldn't possibly lose to her sister's. I've never seen a more captivating smile, and I can't imagine one ever existing. Section. After settling the bill and leaving the restaurant, we boarded the train and began the journey home. Along the way, I walked Kazemiya back to her place. The route home felt longer than usual. Our conversations during the walk were sparse. We'd already talked so much at the restaurant, but more than that, after seeing Kazemiya's smile earlier, I found myself at a loss for words. I wasn't sure why. Even I was a little shaken by it. And it wasn't just me. Kazemiya seemed quieter than usual too. It hit me. We were both probably embarrassed. Me. Kazemiya. Looking back calmly, I realized I might have said some things that were a bit too embarrassing, or maybe even shared too much. More than anything, I'd spoken too much, crossed too many boundaries. The comfortable silence between us passed by in no time, and before I knew it, we had arrived at the base of her usual high-rise apartment building. We're here. Yeah, we're here. Thanks for today. I had fun. Me too. The batting center is after the finals, alright? Yeah. I'll look forward to it. But before that, don't forget about the study session. I know. We were probably both feeling a sense of relief. From here on, it was just the usual exchange of parting words. Well, see you, Narumi. Yeah, see you, Kazemiya. Normally, that would have been it. I'd just watch her back as she walked into the building. But a cold, sharp voice called out to her before that could happen. What on earth have you been doing out this late at night, Kohaku? Interlude 1, Kazemiya Kohaku's circumstances. I, Kazemiya Kohaku, have a genius for an older sister. Kyuan. Her real name is Kazemiya Kyuan. She's a wildly popular singer-songwriter, especially beloved among younger generations. And she's my big sister. Her voice has captivated countless people, and the songs she writes and composes herself are all massive hits. When one of her songs was chosen as the theme for a major film, it sparked a social phenomenon that everyone was talking about. My big sister has always been exceptional, even from a young age. A genius. A prodigy. Even those words feel inadequate to describe her. She excels at everything, academics, sports, you name it, and her looks are simply stunning. With her unique sense of style, a voice that enchants everyone, and unrivaled popularity, she's the epitome of perfection. Having a sister like her meant people naturally placed their expectations on me as well. Kohaku, you can do it too, can't you? After all, you're Kyuan's little sister. Yes. I want to be just like my sister. That's right. You're such a good girl. And so, I did everything I could to meet Mom's expectations. When Kyuan was your age, she could solve problems like this in no time. She was disappointed in me. 3rd place. Kyuan won 1st place in this competition. You know. She was disappointed in me. You're hopeless. I had you try singing, but you're nowhere near Kyuan's level. She was disappointed in me. Kohaku, you can't even do this. I'm sorry. Whose little sister are you? I'm Kazemiya Kyuan's little sister. Then why can't you do it? Why? I don't understand. I've been trying to do everything the same way my sister does. But I can't. I can't get the results. Why? Why not? I just don't know. None of it makes sense. Still, I have to try. Because I'm my Neisan's little sister. If my sister can do it, then I should be able to do it too. Because I'm Kazemiya Kyuan's little sister. Something like this should be easy for me. I just have to keep trying. I have to work harder. I have to succeed. Of course, passing is the bare minimum. Kyuan was able to do so much more. My sister passed at the top of her class. In the end, 2nd place. It's just not the same as Kyuan, is it? My sister always came in 1st. Give it up. You'll never have the kind of talent Kyuan has for singing. My sister became a famous singer. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do a single thing my sister could do. I was supposed to be able to, but I couldn't. I couldn't. I couldn't. No matter how hard I worked or how many times I tried, I could never follow the same path as my sister. It made me feel pathetic, miserable. It became unbearable to see her back, always so far ahead. I started spending more and more time staring at the ground. My shoulders slumped more often. The dark earth beneath my feet became all too familiar. I'm sorry. I've lost count of how many times I said those words. Words my sister has never had to say. I was constantly repeating. I'm sorry I couldn't be like my sister. I'm sorry. It's okay, Kohaku. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't expect anything from you anymore. I can still vividly remember the words Mom said to me, so clearly and without hesitation. That one sentence completely broke me. By then, I was probably already exhausted from trying so hard. From chasing after a back I could never reach, from running down a path I could never walk. Over time, Mom became overwhelmingly busy as my sister's manager, supporting her singing career. You can do whatever you want. But please, just don't hold Kyuan back. That was all Mom ever expected of me. She stopped paying attention to me. No, that's not right. She never paid attention to me in the first place. In Mom's eyes, there was only my sister. Kazemiya Kohaku was a person no one needed, a person no one even noticed. Kyuan seems to be focusing right now, so why don't you go outside and play? Here, take this. She handed me a crisp 10,000 yen bill, an absurd amount for a middle schooler's allowance. Clutching it tightly, I wandered aimlessly or spent time alone in a shop. That became my routine. As my sister's fame grew, more people approached me just to get closer to her. No matter where I went or what I did, I couldn't escape her shadow. I was sick of it. That's why I ran, from my family, from my home. I avoided the house and distanced myself from anyone who tried to get close. They'd approach with their expectations, only to hurt me when I inevitably disappointed them. No, that's just another excuse. The truth is, I was afraid. Every time someone mentioned my sister, it reminded me of how I couldn't measure up to her. It hurt to remember. What are you doing out so late? You're not up to anything weird, are you? Ironically, after I ran away from home and my family, Mom started talking to me more. I'm not even sure if those exchanges qualify as conversations, but at least she started saying something to me. Why does it matter? I can do whatever I want. You're hardly ever home because you're so busy. All you do is leave money for food and expect me to figure everything out on my own. You don't care about someone like me, the one who'll never be like my sister. I told you not to do anything that would hold Kyuan back. Mom's concerns were always about my sister. Whenever she came home, it was only to scold me, telling me not to inconvenience Kyuan or get in her way. That was my life back then. Hello, Mom. It was during that time that I happened to overhear Narumi Kuta on the phone. Narumi Kuta, a classmate and a regular at the same family restaurant I frequented. We'd never spoken, but I recognized him as another regular. I hadn't meant to eavesdrop, but I ended up learning that he didn't get along with his family, just like me. Are you not getting along with your family? Before I realized it, I had spoken to him. My voice caught me off guard. Are you asking me? Who else? What was I doing? I'd been avoiding people to protect myself, and yet here I was, initiating a conversation. The contradiction left me confused. As we talked, I realized how similar we were. He, too, was running from his family and home. Knowing there was someone else like me, it made me happy, and for the first time, I realized how lonely I'd been, spending all those hours alone at the restaurant. I'm Kohaku's friend, but I don't think I can heal her loneliness. The words of a friend from long ago echoed in my mind. Then how about this? I have a suggestion. Before I realized it, I was making a proposal to Narumi, that we spend time together at the restaurant. Not alone, but the two of us. I was nervous he'd refuse. My heart was pounding so loudly I could barely think. I feel like I could talk to you about things. Vent, you know? About school, personal stuff, family stuff. We could just vent to each other and listen. Nothing more, no prying beyond that. What do you think? The words kept coming, as if I were desperately trying to convince him. Yeah, that sounds good. It fits us. Really? Then it's settled. Yeah. An alliance, then. An alliance. That sounds cool. Should we give it a name? I think I was smiling. Because I was happy. I was relieved, deep in my heart. And so, the family restaurant alliance between Narumi and me began. The time I spent with Narumi felt comfortable. The loneliness I had carried with me for so long disappeared. We talked about silly things. We talked about family. We vented to each other. There was no guilt, no awkwardness. I could even talk about my sister and my mom. I could let it all out. For the first time, I found a place to belong outside my home. My very first refuge. And that alone was enough. Just having a place to belong made me content. And yet, I got angry because I couldn't stand hearing stupid rumors being taken seriously and having my friend insulted because of them. Narumi was angry. The rumors about me, which I had left unchecked. They weren't completely false, but they weren't entirely true either. They were laced with a hint of malice, and Narumi was angry on my behalf. No one had ever gotten angry for my sake before. If someone got angry, it was always for my sister. To protect her from being inconvenienced. No one ever paid attention to me. No one ever even saw me. But Narumi saw me. Not as someone who couldn't be like my sister. Not as my sister's shadow. Narumi saw Kazemiya Kohaku, the person. And he got angry for Kazemiya Kohaku's sake. About the rumors, I said quietly, I don't do anything at night besides go home after leaving the restaurant. Well, sometimes I stop by a convenience store, but I don't wander around or hang out. As for the rumors about me being involved with shady people, I think that's because someone saw me being scouted by a talent agency president. That person had a flashy look, so it probably stood out. I hadn't planned to explain the truth behind the rumors. I didn't want to touch on them, afraid of ruining this comfortable moment. I hadn't meant to say something that sounded so defensive, either. I see. Well, that's about what I figured, Narumi replied, unfazed. Leaving the rumors as they are probably helps keep people who only care about your sister from bothering you, right? You've got me figured out, right? Not bad. He was really paying attention to me. That realization was more than just surprising, it made me happy. It warmed me from the inside, leaving me flustered yet deeply content. Considering your family situation, it wasn't hard to guess. As for wandering around at night, I had a pretty good idea you weren't. The scouting part? That was unexpected, but it's not all that surprising in hindsight. That's the part you're supposed to be surprised about. With someone like Kazemiya, it wouldn't be strange to get scouted once or twice. What's that supposed to mean? It means you're a friend who's that appealing. Well, thanks, I guess. Narumi had a way of saying the most outrageous things so casually. You're allowed to run away, you know. He said the things no one else ever would. I ran away from my family, but running away led me to become friends with Kazemiya. Now, after school, we can watch movies, have fun, vent over dinner at the family restaurant, and spend this incredibly comfortable time together. Is that a good thing? For me, it is. It's only been a few days since we became friends, but I really like spending time with you at the family restaurant. I couldn't respond at the time. The words that welled up in my chest were too overwhelming to express. But, Narumi, the truth is, I wanted to say this. I like spending time with you, too. I think running away was the right choice for me. What about you, Kazemiya? I feel the same. Only when asked directly did I finally manage to squeeze out my answer, carefully, deliberately. I used to feel guilty, like I was doing something wrong. But now, I think running away was the right choice. The time I spend talking with you, it's fun. At some point, I had stopped dreading going to the family restaurant, the place where I'd once gone to escape. It had become something I looked forward to. I hadn't even realized it until I put it into words. Haha. Thinking it's okay to run away, That's kind of strange, isn't it? Usually, people say running away is bad. Yeah, I guess. It really was strange. No one had ever told me it was okay to run away. Chasing after my sister's unreachable back, all I'd ever received were reactions of disappointment or pity. People who saw me chasing after something I could never reach would only laugh or sneer. But Narumi was different. He didn't look down on me with disappointment or pity. He didn't observe me from afar with laughter or scorn. He simply ran with me, escaped with me, and that made me happier than anything else. Meeting Narumi was a miracle for me. It's too embarrassing to ever say out loud. Honestly, I never imagined it. I never thought there could be someone who would run away with me. I thought I was the only one hiding at that family restaurant, running from my sister, running from my family. I never thought there could be someone like me, running away in the same place. Finding someone like that, meeting Narumi at that restaurant, and now, sharing these days of escaping together. To me, all of it is such a precious miracle. If only these days could go on forever. Forever and ever. If only this time could continue, unnoticed and untouched by anyone. I couldn't help but wish for that. But, of course, that wasn't possible. The moment we stepped outside the family restaurant, reality awaited. The harsh, unforgiving reality. Chapter 4, Narumi Kuta's Choice. Standing there was a slender woman impeccably dressed in a suit. With a sleek business bag slung over her shoulder, she exuded the image of a highly capable career woman. Her sharp gaze, visible through the lenses of her glasses, was directed at Kazemiya, carrying a tone of reprimand. Kohaku. Someone who could call Kazemiya by her first name and be standing in front of this high-rise apartment building. Looking closely, her facial features bore a striking resemblance to Kazemiya's. It wasn't hard to imagine that, as an adult, Kazemiya might grow into a beauty just like this woman. Mom. So it was her. Kazemiya's mother. Considering that Kazemiya's older sister was a university student, her mother looked remarkably youthful for her age. Just because I'm not keeping an eye on you doesn't mean you should be out at this hour again. Honestly, when are you ever going to grow up? Kazemiya's mother let out a deeply exasperated sigh. Eventually, her gaze shifted to me, standing beside Kazemiya. And who might you be? Pardon my late introduction. My name is Narumi Kuta. I'm a friend of Kazemiya's. I see. I apologize for any trouble our Kohaku may have caused you. Her words themselves were polite enough, but they carried a subtle undertone that was difficult to miss. Was it just my imagination? Or perhaps I was simply overthinking it? Or maybe, actually, I was the one who invited Kazemiya out today. I ended up keeping her out longer than I should have because we were having so much fun. I'm truly sorry. There's no need to worry about that. I'm sure it was this child who detained you with her nonsense again. Ha. Stop inconveniencing others. Some of us are busy, you know. At her mother's words, Kazemiya bit her lip, her hands clenching into small fists at her sides. You look like you have something to say, Kohaku. Nothing. I don't have anything to say. That disapproving expression of yours. It's fine to think what you want, but you really need to stop showing it on your face. It's unbecoming. With another sigh, as though she was used to this, Kazemiya's mother turned and entered the apartment building. Kazemiya hesitated for a moment before following her mother, her steps heavy and devoid of energy. Just before she went inside, her eyes met mine for the briefest moment. She quickly averted her gaze, as if unable to bear the pain, and disappeared into the towering building. Kazemiya. I felt like I understood what she was feeling in that final glance. Kazemiya and I were alike. And because of that, I could understand. Of all people, I didn't want Narumi to see this. That's what her eyes seemed to say in that fleeting moment before she turned away, her emotions leaking through despite her efforts to hide them. Section. I'm home. I returned straight home from Kazemiya's place and poked my head into the living room to announce my arrival. Welcome back. Welcome home, Kuta-kun. You must be tired. I've refilled the bathtub with hot water, so take a bath and relax. It was already past 10 when I got home. My mom, who was working on her writing in the living room, and Akihiro-san, who was pouring cocoa into a mug, greeted me warmly. Normally, such warmth would fill me with unease, guilt, or a sense of inadequacy. But just for today, I found myself able to accept it without resistance. Welcome back, her. These two say it so naturally. But Kazemiya's mother didn't say that. Kazemiya's mother didn't greet her daughter when she came home. Not even a word of concern. All she did was reprimand her, sigh in exasperation, and act as though dealing with her was a chore. What's wrong? You're spacing out. I just realized how fortunate I am. What? Do you have a fever or something? I don't. If anything, I wished that Kazemiya's mother had just been some feverish hallucination. Anyway, I'll drop my stuff upstairs and take a bath. Oh, Kuta-kun, if you're heading upstairs, could you take some cocoa to Kotomi? She should be studying right now. Got it. Thanks. I appreciate it. To be honest, my relationship with Sujikowa is still a bit awkward. Akihiro-san probably notices that too. That's why he uses chances like this to encourage communication between us as siblings. If it had been anyone else, I'd probably have declined. But family is tricky. Unlike at school, this connection we have as family isn't something that can be cut off or ignored. Even if I tried to run away or avert my eyes, the fact that we're family won't change. Besides, Mom has finally found her happiness. I'm not so heartless as to ruin it all. And so, after steeling myself with a series of internal justifications, I stood in front of my stepsister's room. First, a deep breath. Then, a light knock. Hey, Sujikowa. It's me. Nii-san. Akihiro-san asked me to bring this to you. I see. Just a moment, please. A short while later, the door opened. In her loungewear, Sujikowa glanced at me briefly before offering a polite greeting. Welcome back. So you're home? Ah, yeah. I just got back. Is something the matter? I was just thinking, it's nice to be greeted like that. Of course. They say even among close relations, etiquette matters. That's especially true for family. In a normal family, it's only natural to greet your brother when he comes home. Even among close relations, etiquette matters. Hearing her say welcome back like that only made me more keenly aware of how little Kazemiya's mother cared about her. It made me feel like sinking into despair. Here, from Akihiro-san. Thank you. Sujikowa took the cocoa with a small nod. Oh, by the way, Nui-san, tomorrow's Friday, so that means you're off work, right? Yeah, that's right. You had plans today, but if it's like usual, you'll be home tomorrow, won't you? That's the plan. Foo-foo. I'm glad. Mom says she'll take a break tomorrow too, and Dad is coming home early. It'll be like a normal family, all of us spending time together. A normal family, Maybe that's what I'm supposed to help maintain. No matter how uncomfortable it feels, cherishing family is supposed to be normal. And yet, the image of Kazemiya's retreating back, walking away with her mother, and the expression in her eyes as she left, it all lingered in my mind, refusing to fade. Section. The chaotic Thursday came to an end, and Friday, arguably the day when students and working adults perform at their best, had begun. Movies. The family restaurant. And finally, encountering Kazemiya's mother, who was cold toward her daughter. If any day deserved to be called chaotic, Thursday fit the bill perfectly. No, if anything, the entire week had been a whirlwind. The alliance with Kazemiya Kohaku that began on Monday. Today marked the 5th day since then. Just 5 days. And yet, for me, it felt like a significant change. My thoughts were consumed by the expression Kazemiya wore yesterday. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Kuta. Oh, Natsuki. What is it? What is it? I've been saying good morning for a while now, but you weren't responding at all. Sorry. I was lost in thought. That's been happening a lot lately. Yeah. I guess I've had more to think about recently. Especially in these past 5 days. Don't stare at my face like that. Kuta, you've definitely changed a bit recently. Is it thanks to that new friend of yours? Have I? I didn't think I'd changed. The words trailed off before I could confidently deny it. Because deep down, I knew I'd changed, even if only a little. These whirlwind 5 days with Kazemiya Kohaku had been like a dream. Yeah, I guess I have. See? I knew it. Natsuki smiled, his grin soft and warm, as if genuinely happy for me. What's with the cheerful face? Tchem? I don't know. Why am I happy? No idea. It's your own feelings. Figure it out. Can you figure out everything about yourself, Kuta? That one casual remark from Natsuki struck a chord deep within me, piercing right to my core. It felt like he had unknowingly pointed out something I hadn't even realized about myself. Ah, it's Kazemiya-san. Kazemiya walked into the classroom. Her gaze seemed fixed ahead, yet at the same time, it wasn't focused on anything. Her eyes were empty, distant, like she might vanish at any moment. Kazemiya-san's been acting a little different lately, too. She has. Yeah, she has. But today, she seems back to normal. Back to normal. Up until last week, she always looked like that, like her mind was elsewhere. That empty, vacant stare. Was that the usual Kazemiya? The Kazemiya Kohaku I knew wasn't like that. She didn't have that kind of gaze. The Kazemiya in my memory showed so many different expressions. Her cool, guarded face when she wanted to keep people at arm's length in class. Her sleepy look after pulling an all-nighter playing games. Her enthusiastic chatter as she shared her thoughts on a movie. Her panicked reaction when someone stole a bite of her hamburger. That was the Kazemiya Kohaku I knew now. Her gem-like eyes, so dazzling that they could almost steal your consciousness if you weren't careful. I couldn't even remember what her eyes looked like before. That's how much my impression of Kazemiya Kohaku had shifted over these past 5 days. Impression? Impression. Is that how I'm framing it now? No. It wasn't something as vague as an impression. Tracing back the unease in my heart, analyzing it, and putting it into words. Presence. Yeah, that's it. Not impression, but presence. That feels more accurate. Kazemiya Kohaku has become a significant presence in my life. You're lost in thought again. Whoa. Before I realized it, Natsuki's face was right in front of mine. You didn't notice the warning bell, did you? No, I didn't. The next class is with Hosomin-sensei. You better have your textbooks and notebook ready on your desk, or she'll call you out. Good point. Thanks for the heads up. You're welcome. Just don't space out so much during class, okay? I can't always cover for you. It's the fact that you'd even try to cover for me that I appreciate. Of course I would. Natsuki smiled again, his tone light and teasing. I haven't seen you this serious about thinking over something in a long time, Kuta. I've thought seriously about things before, you know. Yeah, but whatever you're thinking about now, I think it's something good. Grateful for my childhood friend's thoughtfulness, I pulled my textbooks out of my desk. Section. All right, let's head to the class gathering, after school. At Sawada's enthusiastic call, the participants of the class gathering, who had already finished packing up, stood up with excitement. Watching the lively scene out of the corner of my eye, I sluggishly began to pack my own things. Kazemiya-san. As I was tucking my textbooks into my bag, Sawada called out to Kazemiya, who was also slowly gathering her things. What is it? How about joining the class gathering? You can still make it if you want. I already gave you my answer. I thought you might have changed your mind. I haven't. I need to stay home today. Oh, I see. Today's a family day for you, right? That's none of your business. Quickly finishing with her bag, Kazemiya hurried out of the classroom without looking back. Time to head home. Got it. Man, don't you just love Friday afternoons? The energy is totally different. Ah. Yeah, I guess. Until last week, I would have nodded immediately and agreed with Natsuki's statement. No, I still like Fridays. Even without any particular plans, the anticipation always gives me a bit of a buzz. But for some reason, I wasn't feeling that same excitement today. See you later, Kuta. Yeah, see you Monday. Oh, that's such a cold farewell, like we'll never see each other over the weekend. How about inviting me out sometime? Unfortunately, I've got work shifts scheduled over the weekend. After parting ways with Natsuki, I headed straight home. Staying home on Fridays was a personal rule I'd made to avoid disrupting the happiness my mom had finally found. "I'm home. Welcome back." Mom greeted me as I walked through the door. Akihiro-san wasn't home yet, of course. Even if he was planning to come home early, working hours for adults don't align with school hours. Phew. I tossed my bag aside, hung my uniform on a hanger, and collapsed onto my bed. Since the day I moved into this house after my mom remarried, I still haven't gotten used to the view of the ceiling from this bed. Maybe it's because I've been running away from this house the entire time. Fridays are family priority days. I said aloud the rule I had set for myself. Even after my mom remarried and I started running from this house, from this family, I've stuck to this rule. Fridays were the one day I wasn't allowed to run. I got up from the bed, grabbed my uniform off the hanger, and shoved my phone into my pocket. From the second floor to the first. Instead of heading straight to the front door, I went to the living room to let my mom know. "Oh, what's up?" "I'm heading out for a bit." "What?" "But you said you'd stay home today." "Sorry. Fridays are family priority days. Fridays are the one day I can't run away. That's the rule. A rule to keep from breaking the family apart. But today, just this once, I decided to break that rule. I sent a message to Kazemiya on the messaging app. The text was simple, concise. "Kuta, I'm coming over now." That was it. That should be enough for her to understand. "I haven't changed my mind, I need to stay home today." "Oh, I see. Today's a family day for you, huh?" Like hell it is. Sawada's words replayed in my mind, and I mentally crossed them out in bold red ink. Sawada. You don't understand Kazemiya Kohaku at all. Kazemiya staying home? That was obviously just an excuse to avoid going to the class gathering. She's not rejecting people coldly like she used to avoid starting any bad rumors about herself. I headed to the usual place. The usual family restaurant. The usual seat. You really came. Sitting there was Kazemiya Kohaku. Isn't today supposed to be the day you stay home? That was the plan. I sat in the chair across from her, the one that had become my usual seat over the past 5 days. Today, I decided I'm going to listen to your complaints. You're here to listen to my complaints? Wait, what? Why? Why, you ask? Honestly, even I didn't know why I was here, breaking the rule I'd made for myself, neglecting family time on a Friday of all days. I'd asked myself that question multiple times on the way here, but I still hadn't found an answer. School stuff, personal stuff, family stuff. We made an alliance to share and listen to each other's complaints, didn't we? After all, it was Kazemiya who suggested it in the first place. She couldn't have forgotten. Yet here she was, staring at me with her mouth slightly open, frozen in place. Say something. Sorry. I don't know what to say. I didn't think you'd actually come. I was sure we wouldn't see each other today. And now? I don't know, I'm just really confused. I'd never seen Kazemiya this flustered before. Not during the day when she kept her cool, nor after school when she let her guard down a little. Like I said, I really wasn't planning to come today. Then why are you here? I don't know. You don't know either. When I answered honestly, Kazemiya let out a small laugh. Shut up. I've thought about it, but I still don't know. Anyway, complaints. Today I'm here to listen to yours. But first, let me get a drink from the drink bar. You don't need to order anything. What are you, a demon? I ran all the way here and I'm thirsty. Huh. You ran here? Got a problem with that? Nope. If anything, I'm happy. Why is it, I wonder? I can't seem to look her in the eye right now. Anyway, I'm ordering something, no matter what you say. It's fine, see? Kazemiya slid the table receipt toward me. The white slip of paper clearly read, drink bar, quantity, 2 in bold black text. I didn't think you'd actually show up, but, out of habit, I ordered 2. Usually, since I head to the family restaurant after my shifts, I ask Kazemiya to order my drink bar pass along with hers beforehand. Good thing I came, then. Even if you hadn't, I would have just had both. It's all you can drink, So it's still just 1 charge. If I drink double, then it's like 2, isn't it? Kazemiya argued with a completely nonsensical rationale, and for the first time that day, our eyes met. The tension eased, unnecessary thoughts drifted away, and it felt like our usual after-school routine had returned. Haha, that's absurd. Yeah, totally. We both laughed. Laughed together. Thanks, Narumi. I feel a little better now. No need to thank me. I didn't come here to cheer you up. True. You just came to hear me vent, right? That makes things easier for you, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Taking advantage of the drink bar pass she had already ordered, I lightly filled my glass with ice and topped it off with melon soda. Nearby, Kazemiya stood waiting her turn to refill her drink as well. You really like melon soda, don't you? Can't have it at home. True. You see it a lot at family restaurants, but not much in stores as bottled drinks. I wonder why. Maybe it's a strategy to make it seem more exclusive. And what would that accomplish? Beats me. Only the gods know. That's so lazy. Smiling faintly, Kazemiya added a light layer of ice to her glass and placed it under the dispenser. She pressed the same button I had earlier. I'll have melon soda too. Not tea. Today's special. With our glasses of melon soda, we returned to our seats. It was nearing evening, and the restaurant was slowly filling up. Families with children, students, and even some people typing furiously on keyboards attached to tablets or holding meetings over documents spread across tables. The atmosphere was a mix of clatter, chatter, and the general hum of life. Yet in the midst of all this noise, I felt strangely at peace. It was like the world had shrunk down to just the 2 of us. Sorry about yesterday. Even amidst the bustling noise, Kazemiya's voice came through clearly. My mom. She was unpleasant, wasn't she? She didn't do anything to me. You don't need to apologize for her. But she's my mom. If she upset you, then I should be the one to apologize. Families are such a hassle. Can't argue with that. Because you're family, you apologize on their behalf. Because she's your mother. Because you're her daughter. Because you're connected. Even though Kazemiya hadn't done anything wrong. Families truly are troublesome. If anything bothered me about yesterday, to be honest, I had felt uncomfortable. More than that, I had been outright annoyed. The discomfort lingered in my chest even now, like a stain that wouldn't wash out. It's the way your mom looked at you, like she'd already decided you were in the wrong. Her expression, her tone, and even her words. If she's a manager, she should learn to hide her feelings better. It's unprofessional. After spilling out my irritation, I quenched my throat with the bright green melon soda. A quick fix. Fut. Ha ha. Halfway through her drink, Kazemiya chuckled softly, then burst into laughter. Ha ha. Who even says that? Talking about someone's mom like that? If an apology is necessary, I can offer one with zero sincerity. No, it's fine. It actually made me feel a little better. You did. Yeah. I could never say that to her myself. I figured. Even I'm surprised I said it. Normally, I'd never talk about someone else's family like that. It's not like me to meddle in someone else's household. But being around Kazemiya makes me feel like I'm not myself anymore. This is your fault, Kazemiya. What? That makes no sense. It doesn't make sense to me either. Don't copy me. Laughing softly, Kazemiya spun the straw in her glass with her delicate fingers. The dented ice cubes clinked lightly against the glass, creating a refreshing, soothing sound. Yesterday, after that, my mom gave me a lecture. Alliance partners are supposed to share information. I threw her own logic back at her, something she'd once said to me. It's not a great story, though. Are you sure you want to hear it? Then why bring it up in the first place? Well, I kind of agreed with some of it. Keeping it to myself wouldn't be fair to you, Narumi. I'll listen. Kazemiya placed her small, soft-looking lips on the straw and sipped her melon soda slowly. It looked like she was gathering the energy to say what was on her mind. If you keep dragging that Narumi kid into your little outings, he's just going to keep going downhill. Stop pulling others down with you. That's what she said. I'm going downhill, her. And which part of that do you agree with? Well, basically all of it. Like today, for instance, you were supposed to spend time with your family, but I ended up taking that time away from you. That was my choice. And even if your mom's words were true, they wouldn't apply to me. Why not? Kazemiya tilted her head, puzzled. To that, I gave her a confident response. Because, long before I became your friend, I was already a lost cause. What? I ran away from home, from my family. I kept running and running, until I ended up practically living here at this restaurant. See, I've already hit rock bottom. I said it with pride, chest puffed out. Narumi, you really are something. Should I take that as a compliment? I don't know. I do think you're kind of an idiot, though. Guess that's why I'm here. Maybe so. But the light had returned to Kazemiya's eyes. They weren't vacant like they'd been this morning. These were the eyes of the Kazemiya Kohaku I'd come to know. No, the one I'd gotten to know over these past 5 days. I don't dislike idiots like you. I'll take that as a compliment. That was all I could manage as I averted my gaze. I didn't know why, but right now, just for this moment, I couldn't bring myself to look directly at her face. Today's the class gathering, isn't it? Did you want to go? Not a chance. But, you know, why don't we have our own class gathering right now? With just the two of us. A class gathering is still a class gathering, even if it's only 2 people. Besides, it gives us an excuse for our families, we both said at the exact same time, without planning it. You especially could use one, right? I appreciate the thoughtfulness. Thanks to you, too. Saying that, Kazemiya raised her nearly empty glass of melon soda slightly. Should we at least make it official? Let's do it. I raised my glass as well and lightly clinked it against hers. Cheers. Interlude 2, Kazemiya Kohaku's monologue. See you later, Kazemiya. See you, Narumi. It was just the 2 of us. A class gathering with only 2 participants. Once again, Narumi had walked me home from our usual family restaurant. I passed through the pristine, almost chillingly clean and luxurious entrance and stepped into the elevator. The metallic box ascended the tower wrapped in sleek elegance, taking me to the very top floor, where my home was located. Unlocking the door, I entered the pitch-black apartment. A cold darkness lay at the core of the opulent exterior. Dad, Mom, and my sister were all probably at work. Honestly, it was rare for everyone to be home. This dark, empty house was what normal meant to me. I dropped my bag and collapsed onto the bed, still in my uniform. It would probably wrinkle, but I didn't care. There were more pressing things on my mind. With a long exhale, I finally let out the unspeakable something that had been building in my chest. My heartbeat felt loud. My body was hot, especially my face. It felt like the heat of a midsummer room with the windows shut and the air conditioner off had settled in my whole body. I didn't understand. I had no idea why I felt this way. Why did he have to come? The face of the boy who had walked me home earlier, the one who was likely walking back to his house alone now, floated to the forefront of my thoughts. He should have prioritized his family. Instead, he'd come to see me, disregarding his own family obligations. He must have run here with all his might. His hair was messy, his face covered in sweat, and his uniform disheveled. Just how desperately had he run to get here? He's such an idiot. A complete idiot. His whole thing is staying out of people's business, but then he shows up, looking so determined, running all the way here. What a total idiot. Narumi is an idiot. A big, clueless idiot who can't even set his priorities straight. Prioritizing a friend over his family? That's ridiculous. He's an idiot. An idiot. An idiot. Narumi, the idiot. But I was happy. I wasn't supposed to think this way. I knew I shouldn't feel this way, which is why I tried so hard to mask it by calling him an idiot. I was happy Narumi came to see me. I was happy because I thought I wouldn't see him. I was happy to sit and talk with him. Once I started admitting it, the words kept spilling out, like a dam had burst. I was happy he came when I was hurting. Happy he came when I was on the verge of tears. I couldn't stop. The joy kept pouring out from deep inside me. I was happy he chose me. Yesterday, I had the misfortune of running into Mom at the apartment entrance. I'd told Narumi before about my bad relationship with my family. I'd vented endlessly to him. This is the last thing I wanted Narumi to see. That's what I thought as we parted. I didn't want him to see it. I didn't want Narumi of all people to see it. I didn't know why, but the thought made me feel sick enough to cry. I was inferior to my sister. To Mom, I was just the kid who dragged everyone down. I wasn't needed by my family. I didn't want Narumi to see that side of me. I was terrified that Narumi would stop looking at me, stop spending time with me, that he'd leave me behind. The thought alone was enough to paralyze me. Even at school today, it was all I could think about. The idea that I wouldn't see Narumi after school dampened my spirits even more. It couldn't be helped. Narumi had his family. Even if things weren't perfect, family was still family. That's why it couldn't be helped. Friday would pass, the weekend would come and go, and on Monday, I'd see him again. Would I? After seeing me like that, after seeing what kind of child I was, would Narumi still want to be with me? Would those comforting after-school moments become nothing but a fleeting dream? Would they turn into a cruel illusion that slipped away from my grasp? The thought scared me. The day at school dragged on. For a moment, I considered not going to the family restaurant today. But my feet moved of their own accord, and before I knew it, I was sitting in our usual seat. Drink bar for two. It wasn't until after I placed the order that I realized Narumi wasn't coming today. I didn't need to order for two. I'm such an idiot. Narumi wasn't here. Time passed by slowly. He's probably home right now, I thought. Spending time with his family. Maybe he was finally comfortable at home now and had decided not to come here anymore. That's all I could think about when a notification appeared on my phone. It was from Narumi. Ha! I didn't even need to open the app. The message was fully displayed in the notification banner. Kuta, I'm coming over. The text was simple, direct, and yet it conveyed everything. That he knew I was sitting at our usual seat in the usual restaurant today. That he was leaving his family behind to come to me. That he wanted me to stay there and wait for him. It told me everything. Was this a dream? Was my mind showing me something too convenient, too perfect to be real? I doubted myself, only to immediately dismiss the thought. He actually came. Narumi. Narumi Kuta was approaching quickly, slightly out of breath. Isn't today supposed to be the day you stay home? That was the plan. Narumi sat in the chair across from me, the one that had become his usual seat over the past 5 days. Today, I decided I'm going to listen to your complaints. Hey, Narumi. You decided to listen to my complaints. Wait, what? Why? Why, you ask? School stuff, personal stuff, family stuff. We agreed to vent to each other about things like that. That's the kind of alliance we made, wasn't it? Narumi had come for me. In this moment. Do you have any idea how happy I was? Say something, will you? Sorry. I don't know. I really don't. You don't know? I was truly happy. So happy that Narumi had come for me at that moment. I couldn't put it into words. No matter how many words I strung together, no matter how much I tried to express it, I knew I couldn't convey the depth of my feelings. I guess. I just didn't expect you to come. I thought we wouldn't see each other today. And now? I don't know, I'm just so confused. It was true. I was confused. But more than that, I was happy. I was doing my best to hold back tears. This is bad. My face is way too hot. Why is it? Just thinking about when Narumi came to see me. No, just thinking about Narumi at all. Makes my face heat up. My heartbeat keeps getting faster and faster. I don't know. Not a thing. Why am I feeling like this? I wish someone could tell me what this heat inside me means. But at the same time, I don't want to know. Because if I found out, I feel like something would change. Something big. This is probably just another way of running away. I at least understand that much, that I'm running from whatever this is. It's fine. I'll calm down eventually. I just need time. Luckily, tomorrow is Saturday. I won't see Narumi, so by then, I'll find a way to get this heat under control. The real problem comes after that. What happens next? How am I supposed to face Narumi now? That was the only thing weighing on my mind. It had been so long since I'd worried about anything unrelated to my family. Section. Audiobook by Masquerade at Masquerade Audiobooks. Chapter 5. Great job. Some time had passed since our private class gathering, just Kazemiya and me. Since then, our quiet relationship, our family restaurant alliance, had continued. We didn't intrude on each other's lives. Not too much, at least. That was the basis of our connection. Which is why I still hadn't asked her what happened between her and her mother. All I could do was hope that our time spent at the family restaurant was a comforting escape for her. So, the new student council president is Raymond-san, right? Not exactly a shocking outcome. On our way back to class after the morning assembly, mingling with the throng of students, Natsuki muttered his thoughts with a somewhat bored expression. Not happy about it. It's not that I'm unhappy. Just thought it was predictable. You're probably the only one expecting surprises from a student council election. Still, I could see where Natsuki was coming from. Raimon Shiori, top of her class academically, excellent at sports, and highly trusted by the teachers. She was practically untouchable, her excellence making her seem distant at times. If Sawada was the prince of our grade, then Raimon was undoubtedly its queen. She'd been on the student council last year as well, and it was no surprise to anyone that she became president this year. It was as expected as the weather forecast predicting clear skies and being proven correct. No one would call that an event worth remarking on. Lately, people around me have been changing little by little, so I thought there might be some drama in the student council election too. Changing? Like who? Well, for starters, you've been lost in thought a lot more lately. That's hardly enough to stir up drama in an election. Though, speaking of the student council, there had been a small shake-up in my life. Tsujikowa Katomi, my new stepsister, had joined the student council. I hadn't asked her why, nor did I feel the need to. It wasn't my place to pry. And there's Kazemiya-san too. Kazemiya. Hearing her name suddenly made my heart skip a beat. Sweat prickled at my skin, as though someone had brushed against a secret I'd been keeping. She's softened up a bit lately, don't you think? She has. Yeah. Before, she was harder to approach. She had this intimidating vibe. She always looked bored in class, but now she smiles every once in a while. Following Natsuki's gaze, I spotted Kazemiya walking ahead of us, returning to class. Her cool, graceful profile caught the soft morning light, and there was indeed a gentleness to her expression. You sure notice a lot. People watching is a hobby of mine. You'd be surprised how useful it can be. For what? All sorts of things. I think I'll avoid asking any further. Who knew what kind of answers I might get if I did? Hey, isn't that Kazemiya from Class D? Nearby, a group of boys from another class mentioned her name, and I found myself unconsciously straining to listen. She's as gorgeous as ever. I wonder if she's a model or something. Lately, she's been looking even better. Maybe I should just confess to her. Don't bother. I heard Tanioka from Class A is after her, and Sawada from her own class seems interested too. Tanioka, the baseball team's ace. And Sawada, the most popular guy in second year. Yeah, no chance for guys like us. Well, it doesn't matter. I heard she's got a terrible personality anyway. Yeah, just talking to her, she'll glare at you. Scary, right? She's probably full of herself because she's so pretty. Her sister's supposed to be a goddess, though. How can two beauties be so different? The more I listened, the more a subtle irritation built up in my chest. They're so quick to judge. Sure, maybe Kazemiya's demeanor contributed to those impressions, but it still felt unfair. Was I being biased? Protectively partial toward someone I considered a friend? Ever since I'd gotten to know Kazemiya and formed the family restaurant alliance, I'd become acutely aware of the gossip and harsh whispers that surrounded her. Maybe that's why, even in the classroom, I was starting to feel uneasy. jealousy, resentment, rumors, mockery. There was a lingering negativity toward Kazemiya that seemed to suffocate the air. It made me want to escape. Or maybe it made me want to smash it all to pieces. Kuta, your face looks a little scary. Ha! Was I making a face like that? Totally. You already have sharp eyes, so if you look scary on top of that, people are going to avoid you. That's fine. I'm already kind of a loner as it is. At school, the only person I really hang out with is Natsuki. I don't have many other friends. I'll join in on small talk if someone starts a conversation, but when it comes to close friendships, it's just Natsuki. Well, maybe now Kazemiya would count too. As I realized this small but significant expansion of my social circle, my phone buzzed with a notification, a message from Kazemiya. Kohaku, you didn't forget about after school, right? A short, to-the-point message. Very much like her. I glanced her way without thinking, and sure enough, she was holding her phone, likely the same one she just used to send the message. Our eyes met. Her lips curved into the faintest of smiles. I quickly turned away, as if escaping her expression, and tapped out a reply. Kuta, of course not. Sent. The message was read almost instantly. Speaking of which, don't you also have your part-time job? Oh, wait. Isn't today one of your rare days off? You usually work all the time. Yeah, with finals coming up soon, I've cut back. Today, I've got plans for a study session. Section. The promise we made the day before the class gathering, preparing for finals with Kazemiya-sensei's help. The venue was, of course, our usual family restaurant. It was convenient since we could order snacks if we got hungry or even have dinner while studying. You got that part wrong. What? No way. You made a calculation error in the middle of the equation. Oh, you're right. That application problem is tricky, right? But there's a trick to solving it. For example, if you do it like this. Ah, I see. That does make it easier. I tackled the problem again using the method Kazemiya had just shown me. How's this? Perfect. Well done. It was just studying. But somehow, when Kazemiya was the one teaching me, it stuck better than it did in class. Also, she's surprisingly good at teaching. She must have gone through a lot of trial and error herself because her explanations were practical, clear, and easy to understand. Your scores on the midterms were great, too. You're good at studying, right? Just average. I've learned a lot from Shiori from time to time, though, so that helps. Shiori? That name sounds familiar. You know her. She's the new student council president. Oh, Raimon? Wait, you know her? Know her? She's my friend. What? I'd known that Kazemiya had friends, she'd told me before. We're in different classes, and I try not to interact too much at school. That's what she'd said. But I never expected her to be friends with the new student council president. We've been friends since middle school. What's with that face? I'm just frozen because it's such an unexpected pairing. The top student in our grade and its biggest troublemaker. You'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who'd predict a connection between those two. I know, right? Even I think it's surprising sometimes. No, wait. Maybe it's not that surprising after all. You're actually pretty serious at heart. Is that supposed to be a compliment? Half compliment, half wishing you'd be a little more rebellious. I couldn't help but think that her seriousness might be part of why her family issues weighed so heavily on her. Be a little more rebellious? You're the only one who'd ever say that to me. Well, I'm still the bad kid who keeps running away from my family. So that makes me the girl being lured in by a bad boy. Busted. Better run while you still can. Nope. Keep luring me in. We exchanged a glance and burst into quiet laughter. What a ridiculous conversation. But that's what made it great. A personal tutor who's the top student in the grade. Pretty luxurious, right? Still, that level of performance doesn't come from a little effort. You must be working hard regularly. Well, I do a little bit every morning before school. That's amazing to me. It's nothing special. Just a habit. A habit. Yeah. Back when I was trying to keep up with my sister, I developed this pointless habit. I guess it just stuck. But I'm glad it did. Why's that? Because now I can help you study. Across the table, Kazemiya grinned mischievously, like a child playing a prank. Say what you want. I'll surpass you on the finals. Then it'll be your turn to teach me. Just wait. You'll see. I will. I'm looking forward to it. Oddly enough, having these brief conversations with Kazemiya in between study sessions helped me stay focused. The usual background hum of the family restaurant and the sound of a pen gliding across paper were strangely comforting. I think I'm putting more effort into studying this time than I did for the midterms. Funny, so am I, honestly. This is the most I've studied since prepping for my middle school entrance exams. Is that a story I can ask about? For you, sure. It's more of a rant, really. Go ahead and listen. Okay. I'm listening. My old man, my former dad, he was a huge believer in meritocracy. Like, if you're my child, excellence is the bare minimum, or, a disappointing son isn't a son at all. That kind of stuff. I used to feel nothing but anger when I thought about my dad. But now, talking to Kazemiya, I felt calm. Maybe it's because it's her. That sounds a lot like my mom, right? I thought so too. Kazemiya and I laughed together, softly, like it was just casual chit-chat. So yeah, naturally, I took the elementary school entrance exam. I failed, though. My mom stood up for me, so I got off easy. But then came the middle school entrance exam. Oh, I studied like my life depended on it. I kept picturing my mom's back as she defended me and poured everything into those books. Did crazy stuff, too, anything to prove I was a good son. Even helped people out of nowhere to show my worth. Made a lot of dumb decisions, looking back. I'd dive headfirst into situations, coming back muddy and covered in scratches. It's embarrassing to even think about now. And, did you pass the exam? Well, yeah, I passed. But it wasn't enough. What? Because I failed the elementary school one, only a top score would have been good enough for him. When I didn't get that, he said, "How many times are you going to disappoint me?" That's it. End of story. Pretty dull, right? I see. Kazemiya fell silent, then pulled a red pen from her pencil case. Kuta, give me your hand. Ha! Sure, but left or right? Either's fine. Whichever you like. I extended my left hand, the one without a pen. Kazemiya gently took it in hers. The softness and warmth of her touch made my heart pound. As I worried she might notice, the red pen began to move across my palm. With smooth strokes, she drew a spiral in the center, then added petals around it, forming a flower. Well done. A bright red flower bloomed in my hand. What? What are you doing? I thought I'd give you a little reward for your hard work. What even is this? You're so weird. Seriously. Kazemiya, you're unbelievable. And yet, we're so alike. Maybe that's why, when she gave me this little flower, it felt like the praise my childhood self had yearned for. Like it had finally reached me. Damn it. Crap. I couldn't look at her. Not now. My vision blurred as tears welled up, threatening to fall. Why now? Why did this make me want to cry so badly? Kuta, are you crying? Shut up. And why do you look so happy about it? Of course I'm happy. You've given me so much, Kuta. I don't remember giving you anything. You have. A lot. That's why I wanted to give you something, too. You're giving too much, idiot. Seriously, you're the one who's struggling more here. Her mom's icy glare, her cutting words, those still burned vividly in my memory. We're alike, sharing the same wounds. And because of that, I wanted to give her something back. As her friend. But I'm just a kid, a runaway who can't face his family. I know that. Still, I rack my brain, trying to figure it out. What can I give her? What can I do for Kazemiya? Section. Time flew by, and the final exams ended without a hitch. I didn't feel too bad about my performance. At the very least, I don't think my grades will drop. As promised, we decided to head to the batting center. Strictly speaking, it wasn't just a batting center but a multisports facility located about 3 train stations away. After doing some research, we discovered that there was another branch of our usual family restaurant, Flowers, nearby. As members of the Family Restaurant Alliance, we unanimously decided this is the place. The batting corner was located in a sports area, and luckily, there didn't seem to be any line. They even have pitching machines for curveballs and lefties. I didn't expect them to have so many options. Hey, Kuta, can I go first? Actually, scratch that. I'm going first. Her eyes sparkled with excitement. With Kazemiya Kohaku gripping the rental bat so enthusiastically, there was no way I could refuse. Sure, go ahead. Knock yourself out. What speed should I pick? Honestly, I have no idea what's fast or not. 100 kilometers per hour seems like a nice round number. Watch me. I'm going to hit a ton of home runs. Where does all that confidence come from? I fully cleared all difficulties in Galaxy Slugger. I even got the title of Galactic Slugger. That's a video game. And that's just a title. Whatever, just watch. Kazemiya inserted a 100 yen coin into the machine. Apparently, one game consisted of 10 pitches. Standing at the plate, she held the rental bat tightly, practically buzzing with anticipation. Her eager expression as she waited for the ball to shoot out was like that of a child experiencing their first batting center. I had to suppress a laugh. The first pitch came flying at 100 kilometers per hour, and her bat didn't even come close to making contact. Strike. Shut up. Here comes the next one. Whoa. What the heck? Isn't this kind of fast? Strike 2. Your Galactic Slugger title is crying right now. Quiet. I'm just off my game. That's all. If this were a real game, you'd be out on a strikeout. This isn't a game. She puffed her cheeks out slightly, looking adorably frustrated. Honestly, just watching her was entertaining enough. Even on the 4th and 5th pitches, Kazemiya continued to swing and miss. But then, take this. The satisfying crack of the bat rang out as she finally sent the ball flying forward. It wasn't a home run, but if this had been a real game, it might have been counted as a base hit. I hit it. Kuta, did you see that? I saw it. Nice one. I wasn't an expert in baseball, so I couldn't say how impressive a 100 km/h pitch was. But for someone with no experience to hit the ball on their 6th try seemed pretty amazing. From that point on, Kazemiya seemed to get the hang of it. While she didn't manage a home run, she consistently sent the remaining balls flying forward. Phew. This is fun. Feels like a great way to relieve stress. Kazemiya, are you good at sports? I wouldn't say I'm bad at them. Not amazing, either. But you've never played baseball, right? You must have good instincts for sports. Maybe. If it were my sister, she'd probably be hitting home runs from the very first pitch. For a brief moment, a shadow passed over her face. But she quickly shook it off, handing me the rental bat. Here, your turn, Kuta. All right. Watch this. Unlike you, I've got a bit of experience. Let me show you how it's done. You've only been a couple of times. Just watch. I inserted my own 100 yen coin and stepped up to the same 100 km/h batting station as Kazemiya. Take this. Strike. That was just a warm-up. I vaguely recalled my dad teaching me how to play baseball when I was younger. What was it again? Shift your weight, swing level, and keep your eyes on the ball. And hit. Whoa, that one flew really far. I'm starting to remember the technique. As much as I hate to admit it, those lessons from my awful dad are coming in handy. Though I was getting better at making contact, hitting a home run was still tough. Kids really are complicated creatures. No matter how bitter the memories are, you can't help but carry the things your parents pass down to you. You know, Narumi, you're kind of mature sometimes. I'm not mature. I do want to grow up quickly, though. Is it because you'll be able to live on your own? Exactly. Same for you, right? Yeah. I've always felt tied down by my family. If I could just move out, life would probably be a lot easier. Ideally, I'd like to save up for living expenses by getting a part-time job, but my mom won't let me. I managed to hit all the remaining pitches, but none of them turned into home runs. Good job. Kazemiya handed me a bottle of melon soda she must have bought from a vending machine. Thanks. You're welcome. We sat down side by side on a bench by the wall. The batting area wasn't very crowded, and the occasional sounds of pitching machines and bats striking balls echoed faintly. Exercise every now and then isn't bad. Since I'm not in any clubs, doing stuff like this feels fresh, almost like a taste of youth. Why don't you join a club? I'm kinda done with sports. Besides, knowing me, joining a club would just bring its own share of hassles. Though I'll admit, I do end up with a lot of free time after school. If only I could get a part-time job. So your family has a no part-time job rule? Yep. Mom doesn't want me working. She's afraid I'll do something that could hurt my sister's reputation. After a brief pause, she continued in a self-deprecating tone. I mean, here I am, hanging out with you, complaining about my family. The money I use for family restaurant outings, movies, or even stuff like today, it all comes from the allowance Mom gives me. It's kind of lame, don't you think? I don't think so. We're high schoolers. It's not uncommon to get an allowance, and not everyone can get a job. If you really feel bad about spending your mom's money, I'll cover everything when we hang out. That's even worse. Deal with it. That wouldn't change anything. If you're going to put up with it anyway, wouldn't it be better to let me treat you? Kazemiya fell silent, perhaps reluctantly acknowledging I had a point. Still, no. I don't mind spending money if it's for hanging out with you, though. Don't say things like that so casually, idiot. She puffed out her cheeks and turned her gaze away, as if to hide her embarrassment. The thought, she's cute, almost slipped out of my mouth, but I held back. Saying it would only make her avoid looking at me even more. Still, being banned from working just because your mom decided so, sounds unfair. Mom's already written me off and is focusing all her attention on my sister. She can't risk even the slightest blemish on my sister's reputation. That's why she keeps me close, where she can control me. It's not about trust, it's about minimizing risks. Kazemiya took a sip from her bottle of tea, her gaze distant. Letting all those rumors about me at school spread unchecked, it's partly to deter people from getting close to my sister. But honestly, maybe she's just given up on me. No matter how hard I try to deny those rumors, Mom doesn't believe me. Whether I fight them or let them be, nothing changes. That's not true. If those rumors about you disappeared, at the very least, I'd be happy. What does happy even mean? I felt embarrassed the moment the word left my mouth. I mean, it's like hearing someone badmouth your friend, it doesn't sit right. I hastily added an explanation, but it sounded more like an excuse. As I floundered internally, Kazemiya let out a small laugh. Haha, what's with that? You'd be happy. I'd be happy, okay? Leave me alone. You'd be happy. Yeah, I would. The sound of batting filled the brief silence that followed. I looked down at my left palm. The flower mark she'd drawn on it that day was long gone, but the thought of it still lingered in my heart. Ever since then, I've been thinking, what could someone like me, a mere kid, do for someone like Kazemiya Kohaku? Final exams are over, and summer break's finally here, isn't it? Yeah. Wanna go somewhere? It's summer break, after all. Together. Of course. I'm inviting you to hang out. Spending summer break with you. You don't want to? I'd like that. When she said that, a wave of relief washed over me. Anywhere you want to go. You'll take me. If it's somewhere you want to go, then I'd like to try going to a pool. Anywhere else? A summer festival, maybe. That sounds nice. I'll look into it. And maybe just wandering around town. Oh, and a theme park too. There's that new attraction opening this summer. I've been curious about it. Should I jot all this down? I tore a page out of my notebook and started listing our summer plans. Before we knew it, the list had filled up completely. All right, done. Now I'm really looking forward to summer break. I look forward to it every year. For me, I usually don't have much to do. This year's going to be busy. This might be the busiest summer I've ever had. As I watched Kazemiya smile, I silently made a resolution in my heart. I finished off my bottle of melon soda, grabbed the rental bat, and inserted another 100 yen coin into the machine. With the bat gripped firmly in my hands, I stepped up to the plate and waited for the ball to shoot out. Hey, Kazemiya. There's something I've decided. I swung at the first ball as it came flying out. It made contact but didn't have enough height. Not a home run. Decided. About what? If there's ever a time you need help, I'll do everything I can to support you. I missed the second pitch, but I was starting to get the hang of it. I was adjusting to the speed. I don't know what I'm capable of, but if it means I can keep spending time with you, laughing together, I'll do whatever it takes. With the left hand that once bore the flower mark, I tightened my grip on the bat. Even if you became a demon lord hell-bent on destroying the world, I'd still be on your side, Kazemiya Kohaku. The third pitch. My swing was perfectly timed. The bat struck the machine's fastball squarely, and the white ball shot straight into the center of the home run target. What even is that? What do you think I am? A demon lord? Keep talking. I couldn't see Kazemiya's expression behind me. I couldn't tell what she was thinking. Thanks, Narumi. All I could do was hope that, even just a little, I had managed to be there for a friend who bore the same scars as me. Epilogue. At the usual seat, with friends. Feeling the breeze like a refreshing balm, I walked along, the scent of heat-radiated asphalt lingering in the air. The clear blue sky overhead was as vivid as aquamarine, almost as if it carried the promise of happiness, just like its symbolic meaning. The flowers blooming along the roadside. The neatly lined trees. The passing cars. Every part of the world stretching out before me was infused with a tangible warmth. It was late July. The first semester's closing ceremony had ended without a hitch, and I had just said goodbye to my classmates for a while on an unusually early release. Considering the time of year, it wasn't surprising that everything outside seemed to radiate heat. Man, it's hot. It was hot enough to make me grumble out loud. Even though it felt like we'd only recently switched to summer uniforms, they were no match for the sweltering temperature. Of course, they were better than wearing long sleeves, but hot was still hot. If switching to short sleeves was enough to beat the summer heat, humans would have never invented air conditioning. As I kept walking, a familiar sign caught my eye. The family restaurant, Flowers. A chain that operated year-round without breaks, this restaurant was practically a second home to me. Just seeing the sign or the silhouette of the building conjured up images of its menu in my mind. I'd even tried everything on the menu, save for the seasonal specials. Chocolate sundae it is. The decision was instantaneous. My mind filled with visions of chocolate bars, chocolate ice cream, and bananas artfully arranged. Strangely, my body seemed incapable of accepting anything other than a chocolate sundae. Dragging my heat-fatigued legs, I headed into the restaurant. I didn't need to talk to the staff. I knew the place like the back of my hand. I made my way inside with confident steps. My destination? The usual seat. And as expected, the usual person was already there. Her long golden hair shone so brightly it could put the sun to shame. Her eyes, a deep ocean blue, were more beautiful than any sea on earth. Her flawless, fair skin, untouched by a single blemish, seemed unfazed by the blazing midsummer sun. With her slender waist and ample figure rivaling that of an idol, she wore the summer uniform of Hashimoto Academy's high school division. Kazemiya Kohaku. A second year in Class D at Hashimoto Academy, she was my classmate and, more importantly, my precious friend. "Oh, you're here." As I approached her seat, she greeted me. "Sorry I'm late. If your teacher suddenly asked you to do something, it can't be helped. No need to apologize, right? I figured you were looking forward to today, so." I wasn't looking forward to it. She was definitely looking forward to it. "But you've got everything spread out on the table already." "That's just preparation. I was just getting ready, that's all." Spread out on the table was the summer reward list we'd talked about after the finals at the batting center. Today, we had planned to meet at the family restaurant and make plans for summer break based on that very list. Let me grab a drink from the fountain first. Oh, and chocolate sundae? Correct. How'd you know? Just a guess. You looked like you were craving one. Kazemiya gave me a triumphant look. She probably hadn't forgotten how I teased her earlier about the reward list. Not that I minded, it wasn't frustrating in the slightest. Honestly, she needs to realize that when she does stuff like this, it's just cute. Alright, I'll order it for you. Thanks. I poured myself a glass of melon soda at the drink bar. For the record, I added 1 extra ice cube. While it made the drink slightly smaller, the extra chill was worth it. Besides, this was a student's best friend, a drink bar, so I could always refill it. You went with melon soda? It doesn't feel right starting with anything else. What even is that logic? Kazemiya chuckled at my response. At school, she was known as the cool, aloof beauty, but when we hung out at the family restaurant after school, she always seemed so laid back. By the way, I ordered your chocolate sundae. Thanks. I glanced at the touchscreen terminal sitting neatly on the table corner. The restaurant had recently switched to a digital ordering system, and the shiny new device looked like it had just been unboxed. Man, touchscreen ordering is a blessing. Kazemiya looked at the device with genuine gratitude. This family restaurant, Flowers, had previously required customers to place orders directly with the staff. However, they had recently implemented a touchscreen system. Both Kazemiya and I, being kids of the digital age, had no trouble adapting to the new setup. It's great not having to talk to the staff. You really hate that, don't you? I don't like the way they look at me, like, oh, this girl's here again. That's just paranoia. But you understand the feeling, don't you? Yeah, I do. Sometimes I think they're probably giving me weird nicknames behind my back. Haha, same here. All I could do was hope those nicknames would never reach our ears. Well, whatever. Let's get started. Yeah. After a bit of idle chatter, we got down to business. The topic for today's Family Restaurant Alliance meeting was our summer break plans. Using the summer reward list we had drafted after finals as a foundation, we started planning. But as of now, some major adjustments were necessary. The reason? Family Restaurant Flowers, 300 locations celebration summer stamp rally. It's perfect for the Family Restaurant Alliance's summer. Our go-to family restaurant, Flowers, was a nationwide chain. Recently, it had reached the milestone of 300 locations, and to celebrate, they launched a stamp rally. By spending at least 1,000 yen at any Flowers location, customers could earn a stamp. Collecting 5 stamps would reward them with exclusive merchandise or special coupons. Right. We already planned to go to different places, so I thought we could adjust things to collect stamps too. It might be tricky to coordinate, though. It might not be that bad. A lot of the places we planned to visit already have Flowers locations nearby. But collecting 5 stamps still sounds like a challenge. Should we make it an overnight trip? Oh, good point. It's summer break, so we could do that. I'm in. For us, home wasn't exactly a comforting place. Being able to leave it behind, even temporarily, was incredibly appealing. Still, booking hotels during summer break might be tough. I looked into it, and there are still some rooms available in places like this one. It's near the beach, and there's another Flowers location within walking distance. You're the type to plan trips meticulously, aren't you? Researching everything and deciding exactly where to go. And you seem like the type to wander around aimlessly. Spot on. When I go on trips with Natsuki, we just mess around and still have fun. Like the time we went to Toto Fantasyland. Just the 2 of us, but it was a blast. Toto Fantasyland? That's on our list too. Natsuki even made me wear cat ear headbands. We were weirdly hyped up and even took a photo together. Oh, here it is. Pretty funny, right? I pulled up a picture from my phone, a goofy snapshot of me and Natsuki wearing cat ears. Ha ha ha. What's this? I didn't think you'd do something like this. Kind of surprising. I was just in a weird mood that day. Natsuki's my childhood friend. It's easy to act dumb around him. Then I'll have to make sure you act dumb when you're with me too. Fine, but you're wearing the cat ears too. Sure, why not? And for the summer festival, I want to wear a yukata. A yukata? I've never worn one before. Then this summer is the perfect chance. walking around festival stalls in a yukata. That's the quintessential summer experience. I've always dreamed of things like this, going on trips with friends, visiting summer festivals. All of it. Kazemiya gazed out at the summerlit scenery. This is the first time I've ever been so excited about summer break. Me too. Just imagining it was so much fun. And when those plans became a reality, I was sure it would be even better. I'm looking forward to a fun summer, Narumi. Yeah. Let's make it a great one. We continued chatting, mixing in bits of light-hearted talk as we finalized our summer plans. Eventually, we wrapped up by working on some homework before calling it a day. See you tomorrow. Yeah. We're meeting at the station at 10 a.m. and heading straight to the movie theater, right? After the movie, we'll hit up a nearby Flowers for our first stamp. Don't be late and ruin the plan right off the bat. Yeah. I teased her lightly, and she responded with her usual smile. Later, Kazemiya. Bye. Thanks for walking me home, Narumi. No problem. And with that, we parted ways as we always did. If I had to summarize, though, our carefully planned summer fell apart before it even began. I'm sorry, Kuta. Because that very night, before summer break could even start, I found myself facing an unexpected situation. In the dark of night, in the pouring rain, I ran away from home. Standing there in the downpour was Kazemiya Kohaku, having run away from home. End of Volume 1.